Chapter 557. While Gu Shan agreed to Buttercup's request, she was feeling a bit emotional. Looking at Buttercup, he felt that his emotions weren't quite right. Buttercup, on the other hand, was very happy, because she was finally able to see Bali again. Both of them had overlooked a certain thing. Bali. He wasn't a person who could be easily fooled. Although they were only communicating through their expressions, Bali's sharp senses still picked up on it. He was a combatant who had traveled across billions of worlds, so he couldn't tolerate a single grain of sand in his eyes. "What is it? What's the matter?" Bali asked. He followed Buttercup's gaze to Gu Shan, then back to Buttercup. What are they talking about? A trace of doubt appeared in Barley's mind. Buttercup became anxious. She doesn't seem to be very good at hiding her emotions. Her anxious expression was noticed by Bali again. This time, even Meow noticed that her expression wasn't quite right. Of course she has something to do, and it's something very important. Gu Shan's voice came. "No, please don't say it." Buttercup pursed her lips, looked at Gu Shan, and couldn't help but shout in her mind. Bali and Meow also looked at Gu Shan. Gu Shan didn't avoid Bali's eyes at all. In front of them, Gu Shan tapped her inventory bag and took out a bottle of liquor. He remembered the golden statue. While wearing nothing but his underwear and hurrying to save the world, Bali was still holding a bottle of liquor in his hand. Because of that, there shouldn't be any problems with this. Glancing at Buttercup's anxious expression, Gu Shan raised the bottle to Bali. Reuniting is something worth celebrating, so Buttercup asked me to bring some wine. Gu Shan said, in such a hurry, Buttercup didn't know what kind of wine to buy. She didn't know if these wines would suit your taste. He pointed at Buttercup and smiled at Bali. "Look at her. She's still a little nervous. She's afraid that it's not your cup of tea." Bali was stunned. He looked at the bottle of wine and gulped. "Buttercup is so thoughtful. You still remember that my brother likes to drink." Meow was the first to smile. "It's a rare reunion. Some wine is indeed the best." "Ah, Buttercup, you don't have to worry about alcohol." Bali suddenly laughed. "As long as it's alcohol, Bali, will love it." Buttercup looked at Bali and also smiled. Gu Shan took out a few glasses and poured one for each of Bali and Meow. "Please give me a glass as well," Buttercup said. "That's right, give her a glass." "She's already 18 years old," Bali replied. "It's been over 1,000 years, Uncle Bali." "Back then, you never gave me any wine to drink," Buttercup angrily said. Bali smiled and clinked glasses with her. Meow also raised her glass to greet Gu Shan. "It wasn't easy for you to send such a precious gift to me. You're too kind." Gu Shan also raised her glass. "Big sis Meow, thank you for taking care of me back then." Buttercup then raised her glass to Meow. "I remember beating you up before," Meow said. "That was because I wasn't obedient and tore your novel apart," Buttercup giggled. As they drank, they began to talk about the past. Everyone was happy. As they talked, the wine also quickly went down. After an unknown amount of time, a blinding flash of light appeared. Gu Shan looked back, only to see Buttercup's figure slowly becoming faint. The spell's effect was about to end. Buttercup looked at her body and regretfully put down her glass. She nodded to Gu Shan. "Thank you. This is my thanks for helping me deliver this," she said. Following her words, a scroll lightly fluttered in front of Gu Shan. "Ah, no need to be so polite," Gu Shan hurriedly said. Buttercup had already helped him once before, so in return, he helped Buttercup deliver the pixie crystal flower to Bali. They're even now. All of a sudden, a female voice resounded in Gu Shan's mind. "No, I want to thank you for being able to see him one last time, to see how happy he is. For me, this is the perfect ending. Do you care about him a lot? He is a fighter, someone who will never be defeated. I can't let him know that I've become a demon. That would be a heavy blow to him, one that would cause him to fall in his sorrow." Gu Shan seriously listened. Buttercup raised her glass and looked at Gu Shan. "Finally, let's have a drink as well," she smiled. "All right." Gu Shan took a sip, but couldn't help himself. He transmitted his voice. "Listen, I have a few words to say to you." Xiao Dai sipped her wine and seemed to be listening. Gu Shan continued. "Some people care about their identity, their race, their background, and even what kind of school they went to. Perhaps these things really are important. But Buttercup, do you know what I think? I feel that at the moment of the infinite world's destruction, a person who still holds gratitude towards another person is definitely not a demon. I hope that one day you will be able to appear in front of him and tell him yourself. No matter what you turn into, your heart will never change. You will always be the little girl that he saved. Buttercup stayed silent for a bit, then raised her glass and drank it all in one gulp. Thank you. Saying so, she waved her hand to put the scroll away. Walking in front of Gu Qing Shan, Buttercup lightly placed her palm on his chest. The dim light turned into a unique rune that entered Gu Qing Shan's body. A small gift saying so, she returned. A few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You've obtained a mystical connection. This connection will not increase your strength. It will only help you once at a certain crucial moment. Gu Qing Shan sensed it. There didn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary, but as he willed it, he was able to faintly form a connection. This was something that he still couldn't understand. Buttercup then turned to Bali and solemnly bowed. Uncle Bali, I can't stay here any longer. I have to go, she softly said. Next time, bring the child with you. You'll always be welcome here. Bali stroked her head. Buttercup smiled at Bali, unwilling to part. The light that gathered around her body crumbled, turning into tiny sprites of light that were blown away by the wind. It was time to part. Buttercup was gone. The past, present, and future, the cute little girl would never return. And the truth of this was only known to Gu Qing Shan. He would remain silent for the rest of eternity. Until one day, Bali stood there for a while with a nostalgic smile on his face. But he didn't know what Buttercup had gone through. At this moment, he was filled with the joy of meeting an old friend again. Did you know she was only 11 years old at the time? Both her parents were dead. She was the only one I saved from that destroyed world, he told Gu Qing Shan. She cried for a few days straight. It was such a headache. I had to use so many methods to calm her down. Bali patted Gu Qing Shan's shoulder and excitedly continued. Meow also smiled. Just look at that. In just a blink of an eye, that girl had already become an excellent scroll user, and she even has a child of her own. I'm also very surprised. Bali agreed. Gu Qing Shan didn't reply. From start to finish, Gu Qing Shan didn't interrupt Buttercup and Bali's reunion. At this point, the War God UI showed that there were only 7 minutes left. The last 7 minutes. If Gu Qing Shan couldn't stay here, the Destiny quest would have failed. Gu Qing Shan finished her glass and refilled it for herself. Chapter 558. Buttercup had already left. In front of the Justice Iron Fist Club, the remaining 3 people were still drinking. On the table, Buttercup's notebook and pen had already been put away, replaced by a few side dishes. Bali, Buttercup, and Gu Qing Shan sat around the table. Gu Qing Shan looked at the time. 6.5 minutes. Who would have thought you'd prepare some side dishes? Bali was surprised. He picked up a plate and poured it into his mouth. The plate was empty. Drinking and eating seems like a person who knows how to enjoy life. Meow also agreed. She picked up a plate and poured it into her mouth. The plate was also empty. Gu Qing Shan felt cold sweat dripping down her back. How long has it been since these two ate? Bailey picked up his glass and took another gulp of wine. He looked at Gu Qing Shan with a serious expression. Brat, if it weren't for the Keepers Association ship, you wouldn't even be able to come here. What do you do in the infinite worlds? Bali scowled and asked. Even though Gu Qing Shan's cultivation was concealed by a scroll, Bali was able to instantly sense Gu Qing Shan's true strength through the scroll. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Gu Qing Shan, a bartender, Gu Qing Shan said. He remembered Bali's golden statue. Bali's eyes lit up, but purposely scoffed. Bartender? I don't believe you. Can you make one? You should know that not just anyone can be called a bartender. Gu Qing Shan tapped her inventory bag, took out several types of spirit liquor, and mixed one with the best she could. It's done, he said as he raised the glass. Bali and Meow exchanged glances. This kid was too skilled at mixing drinks. In a blur, the mix was done. Then, he looked at the cocktail. The cocktail was divided into several layers, and each layer had a different color. This level of skill was at the professional level. This wine is really nice. Let me try it. Meow reached out to grab the cup. Bali grabbed the cup, turned around to hide from Meow, and downed the cup in one gulp. Brother, this wine is obviously for girls. Meow hammered his back and said angrily. Her strength was not small, and Bali was hammered so hard that he almost spat out the wine. He endured it for a while and finally swallowed the wine. Phew! Bali let out a long breath. This wine was really strong. Seeing Meow's depressed look, Gu Qingshan made a glass for Meow. When Meow also finished drinking, Gu Qingshan asked, "How was it?" "It was so it's barely passable." The brother and sister kept smacking their lips and pretended to comment. "I really couldn't tell, but you really are a bartender," Meow tilted her head. "Mixing drinks is my hobby. What I really do for a living is cooking," Gu Qingshan replied. The brother and sister exchanged glances. They understood the meaning in each other's eyes. "Brat, you're in luck," Bali proudly declared. "I'm in luck." Gu Qingshan froze. Everyone says it's hard to cater to everyone's tastes. The food and drink of different worlds are very different, so it's very hard for you cooks to make a living in different worlds. But I'm a gourmet. My job is to evaluate various dishes, Bali crossed his arms and said. "That's right. You can actually take out some of your creations and let us appraise them for free," Meow also said. Gu Qingshan was speechless. Bullshit about everyone says it's hard to cater to everyone's tastes. I've been to a few worlds already, and I know that there are some differences in human tastes, but when it comes to real food, there aren't that many differences. You two brother and sister are singing the same tune in front of me. Do you think I'm an idiot? Gu Qingshan glanced at the war god UI. He looked at the time. There's only 3 minutes left. There's no time. Do you have any specialty dishes? Little Meow secretly swallowed his saliva and asked with a straight face. Gu Qingshan took out 2 plates of spirit cooking. This was the spirit cooking that Qin Shaolu spent an entire day and night to meticulously make. He put a lot of thought into it. At the time, the war had only just begun, so Qin Shaolu said that on Gu Qingshan's birthday, if everyone wasn't at the sect, Gu Qingshan would be able to eat this. Qin Shaolu was well-versed in the 6 arts, but his specialty was spirit cooking, so no matter how busy the people of Baihua sect were, no one would ever miss a meal. Because of that, this was the best spirit cooking that Gu Qingshan could make. Bali and Meow stared at the 2 plates of spirit cooking with green eyes, almost like 2 hungry wolves. "You can try it." Gu Qingshan handed them the spirit cooking. Bali took the plate and spoke seriously. "I've traveled through billions of worlds, so I have a deep understanding of food. Since this is the first time we've met, I'll help you taste it for free this time." Meow also nodded. "Then I'll have to trouble you." Gu Qingshan silently sighed. Bali was wolfing down the food on the plate. This time, Meow's movements were a lot gentler, but the food on the plate was also going down very quickly, not at all inferior to Bali's. From the looks of it, they really haven't eaten for a long time. Seeing this, Gu Qingshan tried to ask Bali, "With your strength, isn't it simple for you to do something in exchange for payment? Why do I feel like you owe a lot of money?" Meow abruptly looked up. She spoke very seriously. "In the past few years, Big Bro's leg injury has been getting worse and worse, so he can't leave this place," Gu Qingshan replied. "You've saved so many worlds, you can at least go out for a meal." "That won't do. Big Bro has a lot of enemies. It's too dangerous to go out," Meow replied. Bali nodded in agreement. "That's right. There's some crazy people out there that I could only win against when I was at my peak." He patted his leg and smiled. "It's all thanks to the fairy crystal flower. Now, I just need to rest for a while, and I'll be fully recovered." Meow was also very happy and shouted, "Crippled Bali will no longer be crippled." Gu Qingshan nodded. "I understand. Let's eat." The 2 of them lowered their heads and continued to enjoy the food. After they finished licking the plates clean, Gu Qingshan finally asked, "How's the taste?" It's barely passable." The 2 of them put down their plates and commented, "The taste is good, but the amount is too little. It's been so many days since I've eaten. This isn't even enough. Can I have another portion?" The brother and sister exchanged glances, once again understanding each other's thoughts. They began to think about how to cooperate to make the other party give them more spirit food. Gu Qingshan glanced at the time on the war god UI. There were 40 seconds left. "Very well. I'll be leaving now." Gu Qingshan stood up and turned to leave. Where are you going? Bali couldn't help but ask. Wandering the infinite worlds, wandering? With your strength, you'll be killed sooner or later, Bali mocked her. What can I do? I like to mix drinks and cook, so I need to go to different worlds to see the local ingredients, Gu Qingshan answered without turning around. Bali scowled and fell into thought. Bro, we still don't have a midnight snack, Meow whispered. But we owe too much. Letting him join the club will only drag him down, Bali whispered. Let him stay for a day. He won't be considered one of us anymore. The creditors won't be able to say anything, Meow said. One more day means one more day of delicious food to eat. And good liquor. Bali didn't hesitate any longer. Wait a minute, he called out. Gu Qingshan pretended she didn't hear him and continued to walk forward. There were 6 seconds left. Seeing Gu Qingshan walking faster, Meow pulled on Bali's sleeve. Bali hurriedly called out, I say, you can stay here and rest for a day before you leave. Time returned to 0. Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You've obtained permission to stay in a super-dimensional world. You've completed the Destiny quest. You've obtained the reward of the Destiny quest. A secret. Chapter 559. Gu Qingshan glanced at the War God UI. After reading through all the notifications, he didn't talk to the system right away, because a mass of light had appeared around his body. This mass of light seemed to be taking him away. An inexplicable sense of rejection was surrounding Gu Qingshan. After sensing it for a bit, Gu Qingshan could tell that this was a repulsive force coming from the earth itself. My stay here is over, so this super-dimensional world is pushing me out. This 1 hour was the amount of time Buttercup gave him to stay here. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to step foot on this super-dimensional world. Inside this mass of light, Gu Qingshan casually turned around. He looked at Bali and asked, You mean, I can rest here for a day? Of course you can. This place of mine is quite spacious. You can rest for a day. Bali looked at the light around Gu Qingshan's body. Not waiting for him to agree, he gestured to Meow. Meow's figure flashed and appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. A mystical fluctuation came from the earth and connected with her. Justice Iron Fist Club. Beacon confirmed. This person is allowed to stay for a day. While reading that, Meow patted Gu Qingshan's shoulder. Gu Qingshan stood still, but the ball of light around his body went out. The world's repulsive force was gone. He stayed. Gu Qingshan clasped his fist. I've traveled a long way. I'm very grateful that the two of you can give me a place to rest. No need to worry about it. This Bali has always been a fan of providing everyone with small conveniences. Bali patted his chest. You came here to deliver a token. We can't just kick you out as soon as we receive it. We're not that kind of people, Meow said. That's right, Bali nodded from the side. We're only letting you rest here for a day out of courtesy and our willingness to help others, not because of anything else. Yes, that was indeed the case. Gu Qingshan said, In order to thank you for taking me in, I've decided to make dinner for you tonight. No, you're a guest. How can I let you spend money? Yes, we should be the ones to entertain you, the brother and sister said with a straight face. Gu Qingshan was speechless when she saw their nervous expressions. You entertain me? You want to treat me to a drink, right? He smiled and said, Why don't you do me a favor? In exchange, I will cook a meal for you. The siblings' expressions changed at the same time. They had seen all kinds of people, so how could they be used so easily? Even the rare beasts in the starry sky could not be easily lured by a meal, not to mention existences like them. What do you need our help with? Meow asked with a faint smile. Help me finish an entire table of food. For a chef, the proudest thing is to have an entire table of food eaten clean, Gu Qingshan casually said. He had already taken out pots and pans from his inventory bag, choosing a recipe and preparing ingredients. Is that so? Meow muttered in surprise. All right, we'll do as you say. To be honest, we really can't cook, Bali smiled and said. After Gu Qingshan had prepared everything, she thought for a bit, then put her hand in her inventory bag and took out a jade tag. A few lines of text appeared on the War God UI. You've discovered by Hua Sek's master recipe. To fully comprehend this technique, you will need to spend 200 soul points. 200 soul points really isn't a lot. Gu Qingshan glanced at his soul points. Before, to deal with Rakshas's mystery of all things equal. He had turned into a living being to fight against it and won. In that battle, he spent a total of 6,900 soul points, combined with a bit of exhaustion. Right now, Gu Qingshan only had 1,300 soul points left. I'll spend 200 soul points to comprehend this technique, Gu Qingshan said. Receive soul points, remaining soul points to comprehend this technique. The Jade tag gave off a warm flow that flowed through Gu Qingshan's arm into his thought sea. Immediately, Gu Qingshan grasped all of Bai Huasek's spirit stone production techniques and experience, and it only took him a single second to do so. Gu Qingshan had always been talented in cooking and bartending. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to become the owner of a barbecue stall at such a young age, not to mention earning the full tuition fee of an aristocratic school. Now that he had the spirit cooking technique, he was like a tiger that had grown wings. Gu Qingshan skillfully and quickly prepared the ingredients. Using a vegetable knife, he quickly peeled the skin off the fruits and vegetables, sliced them neatly, arranged them on a plate according to a certain order, then added some salad dressing. Then, a whole chicken wrapped in tin foil and roasted was flipped over. Gu Qingshan wore a pair of gloves, quickly tore the chicken into pieces that were just big enough for a person to eat, then made a special sweet sauce and arranged it on a plate. Next was the dough. Gu Qingshan took out a rolling pin, hammered, rolled, pulled out the dough, poured it into boiling water, then soaked it in cold spirit spring water mixed with a few rare pills, then divided it into 3 bowls, ladled some broth, sprinkled some pickled vegetables, chili, and vinegar on top. Gu Qingshan was completely focused on making spirit cooking that looked, smelled, and tasted good. Meow silently nodded as she watched. Without long-term experience in the kitchen, his movements wouldn't be this smooth, she whispered to Bali. I'm hungry, Bali muttered. The air was filled with the smell of food. Bali and his sister moved the tables and chairs over, arranged the utensils neatly, then sat down and waited. Big bro, how long have you been hungry? Meow suddenly asked. 1 month and 7 days. Aren't you the same? Bali replied. I've only been hungry for 21 days, Meow replied. That can't be right. I remember we both ran out of food at the same time. Bali was confused. I've eaten a few snacks, Meow replied. While they were talking, Gu Qingshan brought out the dishes one by one. He also picked out a few types of liquor, but didn't mix them, only mixing them according to the most refreshing way possible. Just like that, a delicious dinner with both food and wine was ready. The 3 of them clinked glasses. Thank you for taking me in, Gu Qingshan said. You're welcome. Thank you for the delicious dinner, Bali replied. Please help yourself. I'll prepare some desserts after dinner, Gu Qingshan said. All right, then I won't be polite. Bali and Meow immediately entered a state of oblivion. They ate their meals at a breakneck pace. Delicious, delicious, Bali exclaimed. Kitty then turned to Gu Qingshan. We were wrong. With your cooking skills, it wouldn't be a problem for you to travel to many worlds. About that, sometimes the demons are too powerful. I can't go there, Gu Qingshan sincerely replied. Meow smiled in understanding. The fact that the other party spoke the truth without the slightest scruple about her low strength made her feel comfortable in her heart. The meal was finished. The brother and sister still hadn't had enough. It's been a long time since I've had such a delicious meal. Bali emotionally patted his stomach. Meow, on the other hand, seemed to be attracted by something as she stared a certain direction in the void of space. What's the matter? Bali asked. There's something giving off a lot of power. It's approaching the world layers on our left. Could it be a debt collector? Just close the dimensional passage and don't let it in, Bali said indifferently. Meow looked at the void of space for a while and smiled. It's not a debt collector. It's a famous purgatory demon that once destroyed over 3,000 civilized worlds. It's currently entering the world layer connected to the club, she said. That's such a good thing. It doesn't recognize me? Bali was intrigued. Maybe it doesn't recognize you. Or maybe it's because there's a group of people chasing after it. Seems like it's panicking. Make your decision quickly. Not too far away from that demon is an old friend's world, Meow urged him. Bali bumped his fists together and said, There's nothing to think about. I've had a good meal and can feel my strength quickly recovering. Just a bit of exercise to help with digestion. Seeing his attitude, Meow took out a notebook and began to write. Her writing speed was very fast, and as she wrote, she also muttered to herself. Came from the fifth layer of purgatory, possesses a cunning and evil intelligence, red skin, a pair of long ears, a fake eye, tall build. Proficient in weapons, purgatory spells have reached the level of Grandmaster. Strongest abilities are stealth and assassination. His nickname in the Infinite Worlds is the Destroyer. At this point, the paper began to glow. It's done, Meow called out. Send him into the club. Saying so, Bali turned around and ran into the club. Kitty, on the other hand, quickly wrote down the last sentence on the paper. This demon has appeared in the Justice Iron Fist Club. Bam! The paper let out a crisp sound before disappearing without a trace. At the same time, a loud roar came from inside the club. After the roar, a fierce voice shouted, "Damn it! Where is this place? Who are you?" Bali's prideful voice came. "Bug, listen up. I am the Justice Iron Fist Bali." "Bali? Which Bali? Seems like you don't know me. You're crazy. I'm leaving right now. You'd better behave yourself and not bother me. Wait a minute, what are you doing? Let's get to know each other." Boom! Boom, 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 boom. A series of violent tremors came from within the club. Even so, the entire club was unharmed. Not a single brick was broken. Gu Shan silently listened. The battle was becoming more and more intense, showing no signs of stopping. Gu Shan couldn't help but ask, "This demon, do you know how strong it is?" "We'll know after this fight." Meow held a bowl of rice in her hand and answered vaguely, "Today's food was so good, I need another bowl of rice later." Gu Shan wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and asked, "Aren't you afraid that this demon is too strong and Bali's life would be in danger?" Meow didn't mind at all. When he's in battle, he's undying, and I have the club's spatial beacon, so I can throw the demon out 300 million world layers at any time. Chapter 560. Hearing Meow's explanation, Gu Shan finally understood why the two of them were doing this. Thinking about it carefully, with their abilities, if they worked together, they would at least be able to survive. Other than that, the most important factor was this super-dimensional world itself. If it didn't have this super-dimensional world, there might have been some problems with it. After Bali was wounded, his strength had dropped a lot, but he was still able to hide in this super-dimensional world without leaving, as if no one could do anything to him. From the looks of it, this super-dimensional world was basically a safe house. As Gu Shan thought about it, he suddenly remembered something important. "I sincerely want to ask you something," he clasped his fist. "Go ahead." Meow was still peeling a spicy lobster and didn't even look up. Gu Shan asked, "May I ask, how is power divided within the 900 million world layers?" "Divided?" Meow licked the chili oil from the corner of her mouth and explained, "You need to understand something. There are too many strange races and abilities in the entire 900 million world layers. Even the Guardians of the Spire were only able to compile a language dictionary, unable to record the characteristics of every single ability. Even they couldn't do it. That's right, they once spent 100 years to record the development and final form of several tens of thousands of abilities in detail. But then they gave up. Why? Because they found that while they were recording, new combatants and new powers were constantly being born and growing, and this number was as vast as the Milky Way. That's true. They would never be able to record it all. Gu Shan sighed. There's something else that's even more important. What is it? Meow wiped her mouth and explained further. If we have 3 combatants, they can destroy a planet with a single punch. With his strength, he can easily counter B's spells. Can you understand that? I can, very well. Then B is countered by A, but can easily counter C's God's chosen skill. While C isn't afraid of A's iron fists, C's God's chosen skill counters A's martial arts attacks. All 3 of them are able to win against each other, but are countered at the same time. Tell me, how do you think their strength is divided? Gu Shan was stumped by the question. He thought about it, and realized that it was indeed not easy to determine their strength. Meow continued, "Please, this isn't a fantasy novel. This is the real world. There are some strange abilities that even the Spire Keeper Association has never seen before. So for everyone, there's only one best classification of power. What kind? We can beat him, we can't beat him. This division is simple and clear. Therefore, most of the time, you have to rely on your senses and experience, as well as your intelligence to determine the enemy's strength. As Meow spoke, she took out a pen and began to write and draw on the notebook. You've reminded me that in real life, we can only judge the enemy's strength face to face. But writing a novel requires a realm of strength so that the readers won't get confused. Gu Shan. Meow looked at his expression and couldn't help but giggle. I'm just teasing you. She wagged her tail leisurely, seemingly overjoyed. What I said just now is only true when the difference in strength between the two sides isn't too great. Normally, we would also use a simple standard to determine strength. What standard? Gu Shan asked. Freedom. How would that be determined? A superdimensional world is a world that connects countless worlds. Only those who can stand in a superdimensional world, break through the void of space, and reveal the infinite worlds in front of them can be considered strong. Specifically, Meow smiled. Don't think too much about it for now. I can see that there's a sharp sword chi around your body. Only when you can stand here, break through the void of space, and reveal at least one world in front of you will you be considered strong. At that time, I'll tell you the true division of realms. Gu Shan took a deep breath and said, All right, I'll try my best. At this point, screams could be heard from inside the club. Sometimes it was the devil screams. Sometimes it was Bali screams. But in the end, only the devil's voice could be heard. Don't fight. I give up. The devil loudly begged for mercy. Bullshit. You can't fool me. You still have a blade of destruction hidden in your pants. Why don't you take it out? Are you looking down on me? Bali's disdainful voice followed. Die, the devil shouted. Good, Bali excitedly said. It was another round of battle. Meow, on the other hand, was in the mood to talk and asked Gu Shan, Which world did you come from? A scattered world, a scattered world. It's a miracle that you were able to make it here. I also think it's been a miracle lately. Where do you plan to go after tomorrow? I can't think of anything yet. Meow's tail wagged. She could tell that he was telling the truth. This made her impression of him a bit better. How regretful. We can only keep you here for one more day, she sighed. Why? Because if one stays here for a long time, all the creditors will find out at once, and they will take you away. Capture me. That's right. They will assume that you're a member of the club. They can't win against me and my brother. So they'll capture you to do hard labor to repay our debts. That's not a good idea. That's why after one day, you'll have to leave, Meow regretfully said. Can't you think of a way to repay your debts? Before my brother fully recovers, we'll have no choice but to stay here, Meow sighed. That's why I'll have to rely on my meager royalties to earn some money to eat. She dejectedly lowered her head and continued writing. Gu Shan stood on one side and watched. The devil's screams resounded in her ears, while Meow was focused on writing in front of her eyes. At this moment, Gu Shan finally had some free time. Gu Shan's gaze slowly turned to the war god UI. System, you can tell me that secret now. Ting. The system responded with a clear chime. The system holds a lot of secrets. Your Destiny Quest reward has been received. Please listen carefully and make your choice. If you want to return to your original world, this secret will be related to your original world. If you want to take the chance to stay here and become stronger, this secret will be related to a certain rumor. Please make your choice. Hearing that, Gu Shan scowled. No matter what secrets there are in the original world, they can wait until I return. The most important thing right now is I need to become stronger. Without a doubt, I need to become stronger, Gu Shan said. As soon as he said so, lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You've chosen to stay here. The system will tell you a secret to become stronger. Please listen carefully. Seeing how serious the system was, Gu Shan nodded to express that she understood. A new message appeared on the War God UI. The Call of the Bramble Birds. This is a legend from a long time ago. Within the 900 million world layers, there's a vast world layer that all living beings yearn for. These world layers are located at the innermost part of the outer plane, often called the mystic zones. The bramblebirds are a unique life form of the mystic zones. They hide the precious world they like inside their wings. Whenever a bramblebird is in trouble, it will fly out from the mystic zones and call out to them throughout the 900 million world layers. Because they don't trust those who are too powerful, the bramblebirds will only invite a few young people to join them and help them solve their problems. Once the bramblebirds' problems are solved, the bramblebirds will give their treasures to the young people who help them. Reading through this message, Gu Qing silently sighed. Such a miraculous thing exists in the infinite worlds. I've truly opened my eyes. When he was about to stop paying attention to the war god UI, another line of text appeared on the UI. I will now tell you the secret you've obtained. Gu Qing was a bit surprised. The matter with the bramblebirds just now wasn't a secret. That's something that every superdimensional world knows. All right, then what is the secret about? How to activate the new war god function. Gu Qing was stunned. A new war god function? He looked at the war god UI. The UI was glowing in a faint blue light, with a row of buttons at the bottom. These buttons were like black holes, emitting black mist from time to time. The first three functions, War God Skills, War God Thaumaturgy, and War God Title, had all been unlocked. These are all very useful support abilities. Just like War God Title, before each battle, Gu Qing would prepare the corresponding title. During the recent battles in the suspended world, Gu Qing had been using the title UG General. Because a 15% increase in attack speed was a terrifying thing for a sword cultivator. This kind of speed made up for his lack of cultivation base. Not to mention War God Skills. If it weren't for this skill, Gu Qing wouldn't have been able to learn and grasp so many skills so quickly. War God Thaumaturgy guarantees that when he can obtain a thaumaturgy, he will also obtain a thaumaturgy, even if he has to do a few difficult quests. But looking at the thaumaturgies, Ground Shrink, Shadow Shift, and Severance, which one of them isn't a powerful thaumaturgy? I have to activate the new War God function. Gu Qing made up his mind and asked, how do I activate the new War God function? Ting. Chapter 561. You mean if I want to use the new function of the War God UI, I'll have to accept the Bramblebird summon? Gu Qing asked. Correct, the system replied. That's a good thing, Gu Qing smiled. If I help them, not only will I be able to obtain the Bramblebird treasure, but I'll also be able to improve my own abilities. That's a good thing. You're wrong, the system very seriously replied. How am I wrong? The Bramblebird is an extraordinary creature. A world that it keeps as a treasure must not be ordinary. If something happens to such a precious world, the Bramblebird will deal with it themselves first. If it doesn't deal with it itself, and instead seeks help from the outside world, then such a world would surely contain unimaginable danger. Gu Qing nodded. What he said did make sense. The system continued. Furthermore, to obtain the Bramblebird's treasure, the participants would most likely fight each other to the death. Countless historical records have proven this. The smile on Gu Qing face completely disappeared. After a bit of thought, he understood the danger involved. Wouldn't the Bramblebird care about the participants killing each other? Gu Qing asked. Survival of the fittest is the law of nature. The Bramblebird agrees with this. This matter isn't simple, Gu Qing muttered in a low voice. That's right. The Bramblebird is a mystical creature of the mystic zones. Even top-level combatants wouldn't dare to offend them. Please treat this matter with utmost seriousness. All right, I'll definitely be careful when I get there, Gu Qing replied. No, you still can't go there, why not? All living beings of the 900 million world layers have a right to answer the Bramblebird summon, but you're a person from a scattered world outside of the 900 million world layers. Can't a person from a scattered world answer its summon? Correct. You must obtain a universally recognized identity in a world within the 900 million world layers to answer its summon. Universally recognized? Correct. Only then will the world accept you, form a connection with you, and recognize you as a person of that world. What would be considered universally recognized? In the entire world, at least 1/3 of the people recognize your identity. Gu Qing thought about it carefully and suddenly came to a realization. You must obtain an official identity to answer the call of the Bramblebirds. Other than the Justice Iron Fist Club, He had never been to any other world. Obtaining an official identity in an unfamiliar world was easier said than done. No wonder the system told him to find a way to stay here. And after he obtained the one-day residence right, it asked him if he wanted to go back or stay. The Justice Iron Fist Club only had 2 members. This was the easiest super-dimensional world to obtain an identity in a short amount of time. How many more secrets does the system know? Gu Qingshan closed her eyes and pondered for a long time, becoming a member of the Justice Iron Fist Club, but Bali and Meow didn't want anyone else to take on their debt anymore. While he was thinking, all the lights in the club went out. Bali grabbed a monster by its leg and dragged it out of the club. "Look, today's harvest," Bali said proudly. He tossed the monster in front of Gu Qingshan and Meow. Meow immediately stopped writing. She jumped down from her chair and excitedly looked at the monster. A powerful evil creature that had destroyed over 3,000 civilizations and was known as the Destroyer was lying on the ground like a dead dog. "So this is the great evil creature?" Meow asked as she poked the monster with her pen. The monster didn't move. This monster didn't look like an evil creature, but more like some sort of wild boar. The only difference was that its 4 legs were much thicker than a wild boar's. No matter who it was, they would think of the word ham as soon as they looked at it. Meow walked around the monster. Bali asked, "Can this thing really be eaten?" "Legend has it that this thing can be eaten," Meow replied. Manager Chung of the Gourmet Soup Kitchen once said that a powerful evil creature would always have a piece of meat on its body, a top-grade ingredient that would be extremely nutritious. Bali and Meow exchanged glances and gulped at the same time. Gu Qingshan was speechless as he watched this. He suddenly realized something. Most likely, the space monster that caused this pair of siblings to have diarrhea for a few days was also caught and dealt with in the same way. "Gu Qingshan, can you take a look and see if this thing can be eaten?" Meow turned around and asked. Gu Qingshan looked at the wild boar. "No, it's an evil creature. This wild boar evil creature is already in a state of near death." Gu Qingshan noticed. He stepped forward and grabbed the earth sword from the void of space. "All right, let me take a look." Saying so, Gu Qingshan swung the earth sword. The heavy earth sword struck the evil creature's soft throat, but bounced back. Gu Qingshan's full-powered slash couldn't kill this dying great evil creature. The earth sword immediately sent its voice to Gu Qingshan. "This is a powerful evil creature. You need to infuse all of your soul points into my body in order to cut its neck." "Got it," Gu Qingshan answered without hesitation. Bali was watching on the side, so he asked, "Do you need me to act?" "I'll try again," Gu Qingshan said. An invisible gust of wind drifted around Gu Qingshan's body, then converged on the earth sword. The earth sword let out a woo-woo sound. It was ready to attack. Gu Qingshan originally had 1,100 soul points left, but it was all used up. Bali and Meow were both surprised. Who would have thought the power that this brat originally had wasn't his true ability? As it turned out, his true abilities required the activation of his soul power. Soul points is a type of origin power, being able to use soul points at such a low realm. If that's the case, ignoring his cooking and bartending skills, I'll have to re-evaluate this brat. The brother and sister both appeared contemplative. "If you want to eat it, you'll have to prepare it right after killing it. Otherwise, it won't be fresh for long," Gu Qingshan said. The earth sword abruptly slashed down. Poof! The neck was cut open. The head was separated. The boar evil creature was killed. A few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. "Your soul points have been completely used up, surpassing countless realms. You managed to kill the powerful evil creature known as the Destroyer. You've obtained an excessive amount of soul points from the Destroyer. This evil creature's soul points is too great. The War God system is currently calculating. Reminder, with such a large amount of soul points, you can immediately increase your realm, as well as comprehend the Tai Sword Array. Would you like to increase your realm?" Gu Qingshan grabbed the evil creature's head and silently said, "Now is not the time. I need a bit more soul points to activate. Mystery of all beings equal to investigate this guy's body structure," the system replied. To investigate this evil creature's body structure requires 10,000 soul points, deducted from your supernatural soul points. If you want to turn into this evil creature, you'll have to spend all of your supernatural soul points. Gu Qingshan immediately replied, I only want to investigate. I don't need to turn into it. Understood. 10,000 soul points have been paid. Gu Qingshan grabbed the evil creature's head and closed his eyes. In just a few moments, he had completely understood the evil creature's body structure. He found a piece of meat that could indeed be eaten. Turning the boar evil creature over, Gu Qingshan stared at its body. He found a natural rune formed from the law of purgatory. This rune covered a large part of the evil creature's ribs. Gu Qingshan crouched down and cut off this rib with the earth sword. Lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. The weak rib of an archfiend from purgatory, one of the best ingredients of the purgatory world. Through proper cooking and eating it will greatly improve your constitution. This is a very rare ingredient, both delicious and nutritious. You've used mystery of all beings equal to understand the essence of this piece of meat. With your cooking skills, you should know how to prepare it. Gu Qingshan held the piece of meat and slowly stood up. Can it be eaten? Bali asked hesitantly. Wait a moment. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath and entered his most focused state. Roasted beef rib was his specialty. But this wasn't beef, it was the rib of a boar, an evil creature. Even though he had understood all of this piece of meat's properties, roasting an evil creature was still an unprecedented challenge. Gu Qingshan tapped his inventory bag and took out a full set of cooking tools. He carefully thought for a while. Only after he had thought through all the details did he begin to prepare the ingredients. Bali and Meow silently watched without saying a word. They could sense Gu Qingshan's seriousness. Half an hour later, an overwhelming fragrance filled the entire Justice Iron Fist Club. How much longer until it's ready? Bali asked while drooling. Just one more minute. Gu Qingshan's hand continued to flip the rib as she answered. Suddenly, a loud poof came from next to them. A burly man wearing an apron suddenly appeared. Manager Chung. Bali's expression changed. Since this person appeared, it seems Gu Qingshan's roasted rib isn't normal. The burly man in the apron stared at the steak, then at Gu Qingshan. It's fine. I didn't waste this precious ingredient. He spoke in relief. Right after, he shouted, Bali, give me this rib, and I'll consider our debts settled. Saying so, the burly man reached his hand out to grab the rib. Don't even think about it, Bali shouted. He immediately threw out a punch and punched the void. A large hole appeared in the void of space. Like an eagle catching a chick, Bali grabbed the burly man and threw him into the hole. Bastard Bali, I curse you to only be able to eat raw space monsters for the rest of your life. The burly man roared unwillingly. If that's really the case, I'll let you eat first. Bali didn't back down and retaliated. He grabbed both ends of the hole and pulled it towards the middle. The hole closed up and disappeared. When Bali finished, Gu Qingshan's evil rib was already done. Gu Qingshan divided the rib into 3 portions. Bali, Meow, and Gu Qingshan, one each. Is it ready? Meow asked. Gu Qingshan sprinkled the last bit of seasoning on the meat. It's ready, he said. The 3 of them carried the rib. Gu Qingshan didn't move. Meow was still smelling the aroma of the rib. A moment of silence. Bali was the first to move his mouth. Ugh, 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 ugh. Bali suddenly looked up with tears in his eyes. Bro, what's wrong? Meow anxiously asked. It's so hot, Bali said, wiping his tears. Gu Qingshan was speechless. It's just been roasted. Can't you wait until it's a bit colder before eating? The 3 of them waited for a bit longer. Bali moved his mouth again. It's so delicious. Am I dreaming to be able to eat such a delicacy? Someone wake me up. Ah! Bali roared. Seeing that, Meow calmed down. She also stopped hesitating. Let's eat. After taking a few bites, Meow also silently wiped her tears. Why? Why is it that at the last moment when I ate it, I still felt a heart-wrenching sourness? Little Meow mumbled. Because I sprinkled a thin layer of garlic paste at the very end, Gu Qingshan explained. No, I also know a bit about cooking, but garlic paste alone wouldn't have been able to reach this level. Meow slammed the plate. Then listen carefully. My garlic paste is soaked in vinegar. This is a secret recipe. I hope you won't tell anyone else, Gu Qin whispered. So that's how it is. Meow sighed. 3 mouths, 3 ribs. 10 seconds. The meal was over. Gu Qin sensed it for a bit. This piece of meat is truly miraculous. His body is becoming stronger. This body is already close to the realm of martial cultivators of the same rank. How shocking. Sure enough, between billions of worlds, it's impossible to guess with the conventional thinking of the cultivation world. Bali was also stunned, feeling a bit lost. This piece of meat was truly beneficial to his body. He could feel his wounds healing even faster. Meow what? Let's move, are you crazy? Where do you want to move to? Chapter 562. After eating the roasted boar, the 3 of them sat down on the grass to rest. Bali was holding a bottle of liquor, happily drinking it. This was Gu Qin liquor. Gu Qin brought the pixie crystal flower, a sumptuous midnight snack, and even made a pork rib steak that even manager Chung wanted to steal. And now, he even brought out a cold beer. If Gu Qin was a woman, Bali felt like he might even be able to pursue him. Look, Meow pointed at an invisible air current that was quickly moving through the void of space and told Gu Qin. What's that? Gu Qin asked. Maybe it's a passerby, or maybe it's my bro's mortal enemy waiting for him outside. They can't come in? They can't, but I'm already in. The Spire Keeper Association is on our side. So I trust the Meow smiled and added, if I don't want anyone to come in, no one will be able to find our world. Gu Qin asked. What if someone deceived the Spire Keeper Association and sneaked in? Meow swung her fist. I have the authority over this world's beacon. I can kick anyone out at any time. Gu Qin finally understood. He silently thought about the bramble birds, then finally made up his mind. Ah, gentlemen, I have a favor to ask of you. Gu Qin spoke with a serious expression. Bali and Meow both looked at him. You have a favor to ask of me? Bali asked. Yes, Gu Qin replied. Bali put down the bottle of liquor and patted his chest. Say it, helping others is my way of justice. As long as it's not a bad thing, I'll help you once. This brat isn't a bad person. Helping him once isn't a big deal. Meow, on the other hand, scowled. She was a bit worried. Big Bro doesn't care about the consequences. Once he agrees to someone's request, he'll do his best. He hadn't fully recovered yet. If Gu Qin's request was too difficult and Bali had to risk his life, it was hard to say what the result would be. After all, many of Bali's enemies were hidden outside, waiting for him to show up. At this moment, the 2 siblings were waiting for Gu Qin's request with completely different feelings. Gu Qin replied, I want to use the name of this world to answer the call of the bramble birds. In the name of this world? Bali didn't understand. Meow's brows immediately relaxed. So that's what it was. Bro, he's a person from a scattered world, so he can't answer the call of the bramble birds, she explained. Bali came to a sudden realization. I thought it was about revenge and fighting. So it's just this. Of course, there's no problem. He immediately relaxed. Brother, I have a question, Meow said. What problem? If he answers the call of the bramble birds using his identity as a member of the Justice Iron Fist Club, when he returns, the creditors will take him away to do hard labor. I'll protect him. Bali swung his fist. But we really do owe them too much. It's not right to fight them, Meow muttered in a low voice. Ah, that's right. They're the creditors. If I beat them up, it wouldn't be a righteous fight. Bali scratched his head in annoyance. Gu Qin said, No need to feel troubled. I've already thought of a solution. What solution? Meow asked. I heard that the bramble birds will bestow some of their treasures to those who help them. Are their treasures valuable? Bali and Meow exchanged glances and nodded. The bramble birds are mystical entities of the mystic zones. Mystic zones, do you understand? Bali picked up the bottle and asked. I don't. Gu Qin replied. Meow patiently explained. The 900 million world layers are divided into the fallen zones, superdimensional zones, strife zones, and mystic zones. The mystic zones are the innermost zones of the 900 million world layers. Any random item from that zone is priceless. The bramblebirds live there all year round, so they often collect rare treasures. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan smiled. That's perfect. If I can return alive, I'll use the bramblebird's treasures to repay your debt, Gu Qingshan added. Since you've given me the identity of a member of the club, I'll do something for the club. Bali thought for a bit, then suddenly laughed. Ah, that's great. That's a great idea. The club has a savior who can repay its debt, and one who's so nice to look at. That's great. Meow also patted his shoulder. As long as you can do it, there'll be a place for you in the club from now on. From their previous meeting, it could be seen that Buttercup has matured quite a bit. The fact that this person was recognized by Buttercup and sent the pixie crystal flower to them from billions of worlds away was enough to prove his worth. His cooking skills are also so good. Speaking of which, this seems to be the first time he's ever been away from home. Right? Let's make him a member of the club right now. We can't let anyone else steal him away. Meow decisively took out 2 shovels from somewhere and threw one to Bali, the other to Gu Qingshan. We're going to dig. She stood up and said, How much longer do we have to dig? Gu Qingshan asked. I don't know, but it should be soon. Bali swung the shovel, his face not even blushing or out of breath. Gu Qingshan looked at Meow. They've been digging for 2 hours now. Meow embarrassedly said, We owed too much at the time. Big Bro's wounds still haven't healed, so for safety's sake, we buried this world's beacon. You two should hurry up if you can't dig it out and don't make it in time. The bramblebird are going to leave. Gu Qingshan sighed, didn't say anything else, and continued digging. A beacon can connect to a superdimensional world's core law, which means it has the authority to control an entire superdimensional world. Once a person is marked by the beacon, they can connect to the corresponding superdimensional world at any time. As long as they pay a certain price, that person can travel from billions of worlds to this superdimensional world. The reason why Gu Qingshan did so much was to obtain this kind of teleportation authority. Time slowly passed. Gu Qingshan and Bali dug for a few more hours before they finally found the beacon. It was a pair of metal gauntlets. Meow had to rinse them for a long time before the gauntlets regained their metallic color. Ever since I got hurt, I haven't used these gauntlets. Bali looked at the gauntlets with a desolate expression. Bro, you're already healing. Meow shook his arm and encouraged him. Bali smiled. He put on the gauntlets and began to connect to this superdimensional world. A few moments later, he told Gu Qingshan, Give me a strand of your hair. Gu Qingshan pulled out a strand of hair and gave it to him. Bali put the strand of hair inside the gauntlets. Very quickly, the strand of hair disappeared. The club has recorded all of your fluctuations, Meow happily told him. This meant that the Justice Iron Fist Club finally had a new member, even if he's still very weak, even if he's carrying a heavy debt. But he's a good guy. He's going to search for treasures and repay the club's debt. Bali's wounds were also slowly healing. Everything was getting better. The future was worth looking forward to. As Meow thought about it, the corner of her mouth slowly curled up. Bali opened his hand and grabbed something invisible from the void of space. Meow now. He gave the item to Meow. Meow held the invisible item and chanted a cryptic incantation. Something slowly manifested. She gave the item to Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan looked at his hand. It was a thin strand of silk. The strand of silk flickered a bit, then disappeared into his hand. This is a void string made from your hair. It's currently connected to this world's beacon, and you've received permission to enter this world, Bali explained. Meow very seriously told him. I've infused my spatial law power into this strand of hair. The power inside should be enough for you to return once. What should I do? Gu Qingshan asked. Silently chant the Justice Iron Fist Club. You'll be able to sense the existence of this void string. Gu Qingshan gave it a try and found that it was indeed the case. And then pull the void string, then wait for half an hour. It'll pull you back half an hour. Not necessarily. If the distance is too far, you'll need to wait a bit longer, Meow continued. The next time you return, come find me. I'll infuse your spatial law with it again, I understand. Thank you, Gu Qingshan replied. He silently sighed in relief. At this point, he finally had a foothold in a super-dimensional world. Bali smiled. From now on, you're a citizen of this super-dimensional world. I'll register you now. He whistled at the void of space. Very quickly, a large bird came flying from the space vortex. The bird circled around Bali once before landing. Gu Qingshan noticed that there was a badge on the bird's chest. The emblem was the image of a flying bird. TSK, Bali, you look a lot better. That's good, but you still owe me a lot. The bird evaluated Bali and said, I'm already better. I'll be able to pay you back sooner or later, won't I? That's true. You finally don't have to be a swindler anymore. Congratulations. Chapter 563. The Eastern Sea of the Freedom Federation. In the middle of the ocean, a man with long light brown hair was standing on the surface of the water. He was stroking the stubble on his chin, seemingly lost in thought. How unexpected! The man seemed to be sensing something as he muttered in a low voice. After an unknown amount of time, the man slowly crouched down and placed his hand on the surface of the ocean. A strange fluctuation seeped from his hand into the ocean, spreading in all directions. Come, even if you are mutated monsters, you are still creatures of the ocean. You should listen to my orders. Boom! Following his whisper, the ocean split apart as a gigantic sea creature jumped out of the water. A sea creature. Following that, the sea creatures came from the depths of the ocean to receive their orders. As time passed, all the sea creatures arrived. The sea beasts lined up neatly around the man. Towards this tiny creature, they felt fear and respect from the bottom of their hearts. The man looked at these ferocious, strange-looking sea creatures. He slowly smiled. You are all my subjects from now on. You must listen to me. A sea creature a bit closer to him was whimpering in a low voice. You're asking me who I am? The man nodded. I have indeed forgotten, but you should know my name. I am a demi of the heaven realm, in charge of the water element, so you may call me Water God. Now, everyone move out, for the glory of God. We shall take over a human city on another side. The Fushi Empire, a certain metropolis. A 5-meter-tall mech was flying at full speed towards a strange creature. It was a deathly gray monster, covered in mucus and covered in tentacles. It floated in the air and walked. Being hit by the mech's attack, the monster roared in anger. Although the enemy's firepower was ineffective against it, this direct hit still caused it to feel a sense of pain. The monster suddenly opened its arms and caught the mech that was about to run away. Zzz. The sound of metal being corroded came. When the gray mist dissipated, the entire mech's metal body had been completely melted. Roar! The monster let out a ferocious roar. In front of it, countless mechs remained unmoved. This was a mecha combat battalion. None of the mechas were operated by humans. Impartial Goddess had given these cold steel weapons a brand new war AI. Analysis concluded, this is the weakest of all the wraiths that have descended, Impartial Goddess ordered. Everyone move out, kill it, fight for the goddess. All the mobile mechs responded with a deafening roar. The roar of the engine resounded through the sky. The mechas began to charge. The devil let out a hysterical roar and charged towards the mechs. The battle began again. At the same time, there was a cafe 3 blocks away from where he was. 2 men in casual clothes were leisurely drinking afternoon tea. One person put down the coffee cup in his hand as he listened to the loud noises of battle outside. It's quite an intense fight, he commented. Just a small quarrel. Another person held a cup of black tea and put his feet up on a chair beside him. He narrowed his eyes and seemed to be enjoying himself. There was no sound around them. The entire cafe was dead silent. They were sitting here, drinking tea while discussing the battle outside. Aren't we going to help that wraith? The coffee drinker asked. You think you're strong? The tea drinker glanced at him. At least it'll be a lot easier to deal with these metal lumps. We're not going. Our job is to gather intel and find out the true strength of this world. Not to protect the wraith, but we're still allies. It's fighting to the death while we're drinking tea. That's not a good idea. It's fine, the tea drinker replied. There's only one world. If the Wraith wants to fuse, we also want to fuse, but who will fuse? That's a big problem. If we don't solve this problem, us demis won't be able to easily act, the other person understood. That's right. After all, we demis are too few in number. Let the Wraith take the vanguard. They also like to fight like this, the tea drinker continued. However, there are a few interesting things in the human realm. He reached his hand out and took out a hollow brain from a fresh corpse on the table next to him. Looking around, the entire cafe was filled with corpses. They killed them all. What is this? The coffee drinker stared closely at the hollow brain and asked. Hollow brain, a human invention. Everyone has one. The tea drinker fiddled with the hollow brain. The hollow brain lit up by itself. What does this thing do? I'm not sure either. I think it can help humans deal with some miscellaneous matters. What can such a small thing do? The coffee drinker didn't believe him. The commotion outside stopped. Their expressions changed at the same time. Sure enough, a single wraith is too much to deal with dozens of metal mechs. Wait a minute, look, what are they doing? Amidst the ruins, several mechs were restraining the malevolent spirit that was on its last breath. They carried the wraith up into the sky and left. Let's go. Let's follow them, the tea drinker said. At the same time, at a command center 8,000 miles away from where the two of them were, Jang Young-ho had been silently watching the two demis on the hollow brain, all the way until they were about to leave. Kill! He spat out a single word. Impartial goddess voice came. Super rail cannon in preparation. 3 on. Target hit. Check the situation, Jang Young-ho said. On the screen, the coffee shop was no longer there. There was only a deep crater left on the ground. A few moments later, two figures flew out from the crater. What's going on? I've already isolated our presence. How did they find us? The coffee drinker was confused. The coffee in his hand was steaming, but not a single drop spilled out. Interesting, very interesting. There must be a very important thing that we haven't grasped yet, the tea drinker said. He was still holding the hollow brain in his hand. The coffee drinker looked up at the sky. The mechs had already flown away, disappearing without a trace. What now? He asked. Let's take a stroll around and learn more about human life. Is there a point to that? Of course, we need to understand this world first before we can properly rule them, the tea drinker said. He warned, you can't kill people like this anymore. They're all our people. How regretful. Fun is always short-lived, the coffee drinker regretfully said. The tea drinker also felt regretful and sighed. We need them. After all, demis are too few in number, and within the samsara, only humans can intermarry with us and give birth to our children. At the same time, you can't destroy this world too much. After all, it will belong to us. He carefully put the hollow brain away and walked towards the empty street outside. The coffee drinker followed behind him. Jang Young-ho turned off the screen. Impartial goddess voice came. Their location is being confirmed by the mobile hollow brain. Very well. Thank you, Jang Young-ho said. He gave the president a cigar, took another one, and gestured to Verona. Thank you. I'll smoke this. Verona showed him the lady's cigarette in her hand. Jang Young-ho lit the cigar himself and took a deep puff. He cursed. This cigar plantation has already been destroyed by 30 wraiths. Damn it, how do you feel? The president asked him. Up until now, it's all good news, Jang Young-ho replied. Over 3,000 wraiths have already descended. Even as we speak, they're still descending. 10% of the city has already been destroyed. Do you think that's a good thing? Verona asked. What's worse is that the mechs are able to win against a few wraiths, but the demis haven't been defeated even once up until now, the president added. Jang Young-ho smoked and slowly spoke. War always starts with death, but don't get angry because of that. Your face will grow bruises. Verona touched her smooth white face. The president spoke. I want to know your so-called good news. From the information we've gathered, we've received at least 2 pieces of good news, Jang Young-ho said. What good news? First, they don't understand technology at all. The president and Verona thought for a bit, then nodded. Just now, the Demi's hollow brain had already been activated, but the Demi didn't know anything about it. Chapter 564. The entire city had been reduced to rubble. The wraiths wandered everywhere, searching for humans. As soon as they found their target, they would force them to choose between death and becoming a wraith. Compared to the wraiths, the demis were in an awkward position. In terms of strength, they were very strong. But when it came to capturing slaves, although they had trained a few human subordinates to help transport the slaves, compared to the wraiths, their speed was still too slow. Conflict slowly accumulated, until now, at a certain large square in the ruins. Thousands of wraiths had surrounded the demis. There was a flash of golden light. A round metal ball circled around the group of wraiths, then flew back. It was now that a blinding light erupted from the wraiths. Countless sharp rays of light scattered everywhere, slicing the wraiths into mincemeat. Screams and howls resounded one after another. But the furious wraiths all took a few steps back, not daring to attack again. Just now, the metal ball had unleashed an invincible attack. This kind of attack was completely unheard of by the wraiths, so they couldn't stop it at all. The metal ball silently hovered in the air. A man wearing a white cloak and full body armor reached his hand out to grab the metal ball. He looked at the horde of wraiths in front of him and sighed. You wraiths really are a pain in the ass. Behind the man were over 20 demis. These demis were the main force of the heaven realm this time. Each of them had at least one divine skill, and ever since they entered the human realm, none of them had suffered any injuries. However, every single divine descendant had suffered some sort of injury. Fortunately, none of them died. For the demis, the death of each of their compatriots was a major event. Their numbers were simply too few. Among the restless wraiths, a humanoid monster exuding a faint blue, icy aura stepped out. Beneath its feet, frost slowly spread in all directions. What was strange was that there were raging flames on top of the frost. Such a strange sight caused many demis to display serious expressions. The Frost Flame Wraith King, the ruler of the Wraith realm. It definitely had the strength to challenge any demi, or even two demis at once. The Frost Flame Wraith King stared at the demis and tried to restrain its anger. Now is not the time to turn hostile. With that in mind, the Frost Flame Wraith King asked in a low voice, Heavenly God, why did you order your subordinates to suddenly attack us? Are you going to break the alliance agreement? The man holding the metal ball said, In fact, when we were transporting the slaves, your subordinates suddenly attacked us. That's impossible. My subordinates aren't that stupid, the Frost Flame Wraith King said. Your subordinates are just that stupid, the kami thought to himself. But he couldn't say that. Now is not the time to tear up the alliance agreement. There were many incomprehensible powers in the human world, and they had never given up on resisting them. Human technology is a good thing. After every battle, although the demis won, they never saw any human corpses. This was very baffling. Other than that, the Azura Kingdom and the Beast King realm were hidden in the dark, watching covetously. The god of heaven sighed and said, In order to avoid accidental injuries, you will head south, and we will head north. This way, there will be no more misunderstandings and conflicts. What do you think? The Frost Flame Wraith King hesitated a bit, then said, Let's head north, sure. The god of heaven agreed. Then, the alliance agreement is still in effect. If we run into any strong resistance, we will gather our forces to face it together. Very well. Let's do that. Both sides had come to an agreement. So they each brought their own people and headed in different directions. This city that had just been reduced to ruins slowly fell into silence. On another side, the Battle Command Center. Damn it! Zhang Yongho slammed his fist on the table, making a dent in the metal command center. Does your hand not hurt? Monarch Verona glanced at the command center and asked. Just a little bit more, Zhang Yongho replied with a calm expression. I should have arranged a few more skirmishes so that they would fall deeper into mutual slaughter, the president consoled him. Quite a few demis were wounded. A few hundred wraith died as well. It's already quite impressive that you managed to sow discord. Liao Xing also agreed. That's right. The leaders of both sides do have brains. What I find amusing is that from the start of the war until now, we haven't managed to injure any demis at all. Instead, it was several thousand wraiths that managed to injure these demis, Verona commented. Everyone fell silent. Marshal St. Zhang Zongyang was the strongest cultivator. Thanks to the fusion of two worlds, he managed to reach Rejuvenation Realm. but he could only fight against a single demi for a few moments. After that, he couldn't hold on any longer. The demis were too strong. With the current level of human cultivators, there was no way they could deal with them. This was a power that could sweep away everything. Now that the wraiths and demis had split up, it was impossible to continue creating conflict between them. In other words, no one could deal with the demis right now. Facing such a situation, everyone felt a deep sense of despair. The president suddenly asked, "You said before that the demis and wraiths don't want to destroy this world?" "That's right," Jang Young-ho casually replied. He was still quickly thinking of a solution. The final solution. Compared to the frost calamity, the most important factor is the change in the enemy's attitude, Liao Xing chimed in. "We can't all become slaves, right?" Verona sighed. Liao Xing didn't bother to answer her. His eyes were bloodshot as he continued to operate a super hollow brain. After arranging all the orders, Liao Xing finally sighed in relief. He told Yi Fei Li, "The spatial warp is done. It's your turn." Yi Fei Li put down the ice cream and licked his lips. He stood up, glancing at everyone here. "Humanity is about to be destroyed, and I'm about to become the main character of a movie," Yi Fei Li pridefully declared. "Stop being so smug and go. You need to quickly become stronger," Jang Young-ho glared at him. "All right," Yi Fei Li replied and left. Verona picked up where the president left off and asked again, "They want to take over this world. This is something we all know. Can we do something about this?" Jang Young-ho answered, "I have a vague idea, but we need to wait until Yi Fei Li is strong enough before we can think of a way to turn things around. You trust him that much?" The Empress asked. "That's right, he's our last card against the wraiths and gods. Is there no other way?" "None. Even you can't do anything?" Jang Young-ho couldn't help but answer, "I'm not a monster like Gu Qing-shan, nor a mutated man-killer fiend. Towards a normal human like me, can your majesty treat me with a normal heart?" Verona glared at him in annoyance, couldn't help but lightly smack his shoulder. For an empress to make such an expression and gesture, there's a hint of flirting. Verona was a mature and charming woman. During her teenage years, her name was known all over the world. The atmosphere in the room instantly changed. "I'm gonna pee." Jang Young-ho awkwardly stood up and left. Standing in a men's bathroom, he washed his face with cold water and finally relaxed a bit. The hollow brain in his chest pocket lit up. Jang Young-ho picked it up to read. The president sent him a message. "I heard you've been in contact with my daughter." Zhang Yinghao took a deep breath, then replied with utmost seriousness. "We're getting along very well. She and I are now friends that we both agree on after a while," the president replied. "Verona, what's going on?" Reading this message, Jang Young-ho felt cold sweat dripping down his forehead. Yi Fei Li's entire body was covered in a crimson glow. A strange long hook was attached to the back of his left hand. From the looks of it, it was attached to his arm. The Forgetting River's soul separating hook. "Huh!" Yi Fei Li roared in fury. Black blood splattered. The dying wraith was decapitated. Sprites of light came out from the wraith's body and entered the Forgetting River's soul separating hook. The long hook gave off a bright light. An invisible power flowed from the hook into Yi Fei Li's body. Arg! An invisible wind drifted around Yi Fei Li's body. He couldn't help but float, silently hovering in the air. "I can feel unprecedented power." Yi Fei Li breathed out a mouthful of blood mist and stared at his hands. On the outside of his left hand, the hook had also turned crimson. "I've only given you half of my soul points for now. You might not be able to handle more," the Forgetting River soul separating hook said. "Thank you, I'm lucky I have you." Yi Fei Li was still a bit scared. The soul points converter that sis-in-law gave me was too rough. If I wasn't a man-killer fiend, I would have already exploded from the Wraith's soul points. "No matter what, you can use soul points now. That's a good thing," the Forgetting River soul separating hook said. "I feel like I can already fight against a normal Wraith by myself. That's still far from enough. The situation is getting more and more dangerous every day. You need to quickly become stronger. Got it?" Chapter 565. A Superdimensional World. The Justice Iron Fist Club. Bali said, "Enough chit-chat. Help me find a ship. I want to send my people to the Bramblebirds. The giant bird slowly took out a ledger from his chest pocket. After reading through it, he was a bit troubled. Every travel agency has blacklisted the Justice Iron Fist Club. So even if I contact them, they probably won't send a ship here. What about the Spire Keeper Association? Meow asked. They were the first to blacklist you. Those fake academics are too much, Meow angrily said. You can't blame them for that. You owe the Spire Keeper Association a total of 30 worlds, the giant bird said. He spread his wings. Seeing how poor you all look, I'm sure you won't be able to pay them back for now. How about we meet again next time? Bali and Meow exchanged glances. Meow said, Unfortunately, I can't warp to a specific location, and I don't know where the Bramblebirds are. Both of them felt a deep sense of helplessness. Wait a minute, Gu Qingshan said. He took out the Spire seal. Please give this to them. Tell them that I hope they can help us. The giant bird received the seal, glanced at it, then stared at Gu Qingshan. Seems like the Justice Iron Fist Club's luck has changed for the better. Holding the seal in his mouth, he flew away into the void of space. The people of the Spire owe you a favor. Bali was surprised. Gu Qingshan then explained what happened. How is that possible? There are some Samsara worlds outside the 900 million world layers. Bali appeared confused. How rare. Normally, some Samsara world are a part of the mystic zones. A miraculous world that can close itself off. Meow was intrigued. I really want to see the passage to Huang Quan after death. You probably won't be able to. I've already fused the human realm and Huang Quan together, Gu Qingshan said. Kitty was shocked. You broke through the Samsara's closed cycle? Is there a problem? I don't know. This kind of thing is too rare. Meow looked at Bali. Bali also shook his head. Humans rarely have the chance to reach the mystic zones, so I'm not too sure, Bali replied. You're always welcome to be my guests, Gu Qingshan said. Really? It's true. Meow took out a compass out of nowhere. Take it. It will record the places you've been so that I know the coordinates. All right. Gu Qingshan put the compass away. He looked at the time. It was already 7 o'clock in the morning. Then, do you need breakfast? Gu Qingshan asked. Yes. Bali and Meow said in unison. Then, I'll bake some egg pancakes and make some tofu pudding. By the way, what do you usually like for breakfast? Sweet or salty? Sweet, Meow replied. Salty, Bali replied. The two of them glared at each other. Bali compromised. Then let's make it sweet, Meow smiled. After they finished their hearty breakfast, the Spire Keeper Association's ship had arrived. Unlike last time, this was a much larger ship. Standing on the deck of the ship was an old man wearing a pink robe. As soon as he appeared, he stared at Bali's leg. He rubbed his eyes and muttered, It's healed. This is a miracle. The old man's figure flashed, disappeared from the ship, and reappeared next to Bali. He crouched down, hugged Bali's leg, and sniffed it. Old man, what are you trying to do? Bali clenched his fist and asked. The old man sniffed from Bali's calf all the way to his crotch before opening his eyes wide and exclaiming, Ah, this fragrance, it's the pixie's crystal flower. He excitedly jumped up and spoke to Bali. Bali, I represent the Spire Keeper Association to purchase the Pixie's Kingdom's coordinates with 3 world layers as payment, the old man quickly said. Bali, you have to take this chance. 3 world layers will be enough to pay off all your debts, and you'll still have some left over. I'm sorry. This was given to me by someone else. I don't know where the Pixie's Kingdom is either. Bali replied. Is that so? How regretful, the old man begrudgingly said. Bali wouldn't lie about something like this. The old man's hope became nothing more than a pipe dream. He took out the Spire Keeper Association seal, looked around, and found Gu Qingshan. The old man held the seal and walked in front of Gu Qingshan. He elegantly bowed. So you're the one who saved great scholar Moore, such a small matter like taking a ship. You can just tell me directly from now on. There's no need to show this esteemed seal. Gu Qingshan sincerely said, Thank you for coming here. I really do need to take your ship to the Bramblebirds. The old man evaluated her. So that's what you're here for, HM, around 20 years old, very young. Seems like you meet the requirements of the Bramblebirds. Please get on the ship. We need to hurry there as fast as we can, because the call of the Bramblebirds has been going on for a while now. Got it. Gu Qingshan followed the old man onto the ship. He stood on the deck, looking down at Bali and Meow. Be careful, Bali waved his fist at him. If it's too dangerous, find a secluded place and use a void string to return, Meow said. I don't want to be in debt. Gu Qingshan smiled and replied. He was going to give it his all. Bali and Meow both nodded. The old man waved his hand and shouted, We're leaving, to the place where the bramble birds call. The ship began to move, gradually accelerating as it headed towards the void of space outside the Justice Iron Fist Club. Even after the ship was out of sight, Bali and Meow were still standing still. Bro, how much longer will it take for your leg to recover? Meow asked caringly. Bali muses, 5 days. Just give me 5 more days. A smile appeared on Lil Meow's face. That's great. After being cooped up here for so many years, I can finally go shopping in 5 days. Shopping? Where's the money going to come from? Bali opened his eyes wide and asked. Gu Qingshan will bring the money back. Meow replied. Bali rubbed his chin and fell into thought. That's true. 5 days should be enough for him to return with a full load. Bali opened his left hand and punched it with his right. Then it's decided, the 3 of us will go to the hot spring island in 5 days. Whoa, that's great. Meow cheered. Of course, Bali spoke very seriously. But that's only if he can return alive. Meow couldn't help but laugh. Bro, even in the infinite worlds, how many people under 30 can use soul points? Not to mention, from the way he uses his swordsmanship has clearly reached a certain level. Unfortunately, his own cultivation limits his swordsmanship. Bali sighed. That's right. The matters of the bramble birds usually aren't that troublesome. As a newbie around 20 years old, someone of his level probably won't die, Meow pondered. I remember now, bro, when you were around 20 years old, all you could do was get beaten up. Chapter 566. Inside the space vortex, a large ship was moving forward. This ship's speed was so fast that many things hiding in the space vortex curiously stared at it. Occasionally, a particularly large monster would appear from the space vortex and attack the ship. Whenever that happened, the ship would erupt in a ball of light that enveloped the entire ship. The ship abruptly sped up and crashed into the monster. Without a sound, the ship went straight through the monster's body and headed away. A large hole appeared on the monster's body. This was the Spire Keeper Association's ship. After countless years of exploration, they had plenty of ways to deal with any problems that might arise in the space vortex. On the ship, inside a certain room, the room Gu Qingshan chose this time was by Hua Sek's Orchid Hall. He sat in an empty corner of the hall, looking at the spirit cooking and pills on a tray. They all automatically appeared as soon as he entered the room. These pills and spirit cooking were clearly made in by Hua Sek style, obviously made by 100 Flowers Fairy and Qin Shaolu. There was even a soul-cleansing incense burning in the room, the kind that Gu Qingshan often uses. Using a passenger's memories to create something real and effective out of thin air. This wasn't a simple matter. Gu Qingshan once again felt admiration towards the Spire Keeper Association's power. An environment like Orchid Hall was definitely suitable for him to break through. But Gu Qingshan didn't regret choosing the slums last time. That was also a form of relaxation. Gu Qingshan took out a pill and put it in his mouth. The pill turned into a warm flow that flowed into his body. Immense spirit energy began to rise. Gu Qingshan stared at the notification on the War God UI. Current soul points. Gu Qingshan. After a short pause, he took a deep breath. Why do I feel an unprecedented sense of satisfaction? He took out the 7-colored fragrance bag. Zhang Xian sent his spiritual perception into it, and after searching for a while, he found a jade token. A line of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Xie Dao Ling's cultivation is recorded. This jade tag recorded the 100 Flowers Fairy Xie Dao Ling's understanding of Sainted Realm in the early, middle, and late stages, as well as the various methods she tried to break through to Sainted Realm. Gu Qingshan looked at the glowing words and sighed. With Xie Dao Ling's talent and intelligence, she should have broken through Sainted Realm a long time ago, advancing to Projection Realm or even Tribulation Realm. Unfortunately, she was born in the cultivation world. The upper limit of that scattered world was Saint Ascension. Now that he thought about it, the cultivation world was actually quite strange. During the annual examination, Gu Qingshan had seen the path to heaven that had been cut off. Since divinities once existed, then the cultivation world should also be a complete samsara world. Why did the gods disappear? When Xie Daoling's sect was destroyed in the past, she was the only one who survived. However, she, who was all alone, had such divine skills as Heaven's Bane, Distance Contraction, and Unbreakable Mountain. Xie Daoling even had a samsara divine skill, such as the Huangquan Realm divine skill, Forgetting River, and the Azura Realm divine skill, Vairocana. At the time, Qian was a virtualized realm cultivator, 3 realms higher than Xie Daoling. But when he found out that Xie Daoling had a samsara divine skill, he was so scared that he tried to stop her from using them. How did Xie Daoling obtain these samsara divine skills? Since there were divine skills from the path of the Yellow Springs and the path of the Azura, what about the corresponding 2 worlds? Gu Qingshan had seen the ferryman on the Forgetting River with her own eyes, so she definitely wasn't a fake existence. Xie Daoling's body was full of mysteries. The cultivation world's history was also cut off for a few hundred years. What exactly happened over a few hundred years ago? Bali and Miao were both shocked that there was a samsara world among the scattered worlds. According to them, a samsara world usually only exists in the mystic zones. Then what about the cultivation world? Could it be another undiscovered samsara world? Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and found that she couldn't find any clues. And there's no way for her to return to the cultivation world right now. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan sighed helplessly. Qing Ro and Wan Er have already left for the cultivation world. I can only hope that everything is fine. As she thought deeper, an indescribable sense of unease appeared in Gu Qingshan's mind. Gu Qingshan shook her head and dispelled all other thoughts. This isn't the time to think too much. It's time to break through. Following his thought, lines of glowing text continued to appear on the War God UI. To comprehend Xie Daoling's cultivation method to break through Sainted Realm middle stage, 600 soul points is required. Do you want to comprehend it? Yes, 600 soul points. As soon as he said so, a warm flow flowed from the jade tag into Gu Qingshan's body and returned to her thought sea. In just a few moments, all of the 100 flowers fairy Xie Daoling's cultivation comprehension of Sainted Realm middle stage was fully grasped by Gu Qingshan. At this point, not only did Gu Qingshan have all of the Azura King's battle experience, he also received Xie Daoling's cultivation comprehension of Sainted Realm middle stage. He was originally a genius in both swordsmanship and combat. So with these 2 things helping him, he was like a tiger that had grown wings. Gu Qingshan calmed himself down. His breathing became gentle as he entered a state of breakthrough. After the battle in the suspended world and killing Wang Hongdao while skipping 3 or 4 realms, even Gu Qingshan himself felt that it was unbelievable. But this unbelievable feeling didn't last for too long. The White Fox's appearance, the fight against Rakshasa, Buttercup, the Spire's guardian, Bali and Miao. Gu Qingshan was already numb to all of this. His vision had already far surpassed what it used to be. His understanding of realms had also surpassed that of the cultivation world. The spirit energy in his body was constantly changing. His spirit sense became clearer and more precise. The range of his thoughts sea also expanded. After an unknown amount of time, Gu Qingshan opened his eyes. Sainted Realm middle stage, everything was going according to plan. He sensed the various changes in his body and leaped up from the cattail hassock. "What time is it now?" he asked. 12 hours have passed. It's night time right now, Shanu answered. She looked around and asked in confusion. "Gongzi, the place you lived before was so small. Why is this place so big now?" Gu Qingshan smiled and replied, "My Shifu likes to keep up appearances, so she always wants to be a bit more dignified." He suppressed the thought of breaking through and paced back and forth in Orchid Hall. The shadow in his heart was slowly expanding. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. "Not good. I can't help but feel uneasy. Did something happen?" Gu Shan muttered in a low voice. This feeling was as if someone was holding a weapon behind him, following him like a shadow. Shanu, do you feel anything? Gu Shan suddenly asked. As the spirit of the divine mountain, Shanu might be able to sense things more clearly. Hearing him ask that, Shanu disappeared into the void of space. The six paths great mountain sword flew out, circled around Gu Shan a few times, then turned back into the cold blue dress girl. She had a connection with Gu Shan through a thaumaturgy, so she could sense a bit of Gu Shan's thoughts. Shanu stared closely at Gu Shan and said, I feel like you've gotten stronger. It's not that. Do you feel anything else? Something like a premonition. Shanu thought for a bit and shook her head. She suddenly had an idea and activated all beings equal, turning from a sword spirit into a real female cultivator. Cultivators have spirit sense. I feel like everything is stable. There doesn't seem to be any problems, Shanu said after thinking for a bit. Could it be my spirit sense is wrong? Gu Shan rubbed her forehead. Shanu curiously asked, Gongzi, you've developed spirit sense? Ah, yes, it's just a vague premonition. It might not be real, Gu Shan replied. Although that was what she said, spirit sense was something that Gu Shan was very familiar with, and it often came true. Spirit sense was different from a card of fate. Spirit sense can create actual scenes that are about to happen. If a cultivator could see these scenes, they would be able to make preparations in advance. Unfortunately, Gu Shan was only feeling uneasy, but couldn't see anything in the future. Gu Shan shook her head helplessly. Fine, I won't think about it for now. While I'm feeling uneasy, it's not a good time to start the next step of my cultivation. Gu Shan opened the door and went out. Following the passage in the cabin, he went straight to the deck. There were no other passengers on the ship. This seems to be a ship that the Spire Keeper Association sent out to pick him up. Gu Shan looked around. The wind of chaotic wind was flowing like a tidal wave. Gu Shan's clothes were fluttering in the wind. The speed of the ship was so fast that a lot of unusual scenes flashed by in the void of space. Gu Shan didn't even have time to see what they were. A gigantic monster that gave off a ferocious presence suddenly appeared. It looked like a snake, but also a fish that was too long. The monster opened its mouth wide, roaring as it charged towards the ship. Its mouth was big enough to swallow 10 of these ships at the same time. But the ship didn't react at all. Is anyone there? Gu Shan called out. No one answered. The ship sped up and charged forward, directly piercing through the monster's body. The monster howled in pain as it fell from the void of space, its body still writhing madly. More monsters appeared from the void of space and chased after the monster. That monster probably won't live for long. Seeing this, Gu Shan couldn't help but feel shocked. He couldn't help but look at the sail of the ship. Unlike the twin-masted ship from before, this ship was much larger, with several levels of cabins, as well as a large curved stern. In ancient times, this would have been a 4-masted ship suitable for long ocean voyages. Chapter 567. The ship was traveling through the endless gray fog, as if it was flying through the clouds. Although there was no sun or moon, there were occasionally billions of stars shining in the sky. The universe, the space vortex, the monsters, the void, the world layer behind them, as well as the incoming world layer. Everything came one after another. At some point, Gu Shan even felt like he was following the ship, moving forward in a strange and unfathomable darkness. The wind and the void didn't stop for even a second. Gu Shan combed his messy hair and casually strolled along the edge of the deck. This was a new experience that he had never experienced before. It was a great way to soothe his emotions. An old voice rang out. My friend, why are you alone on the deck? Is the room not to your liking? Gu Shan turned around to see the old man from the Spire Keeper Association. He was holding a candlestick, walking towards Gu Shan. The room is quite nice. I just came out for some fresh air, Gu Shan replied. I already know what happened to you, the old man said with a smile. Which matter are you talking about? Saving someone? That was only something I did in passing. Please don't keep it in mind. That's not it, my colleague. You forgot to ask about your basic situation. That was a mistake on his part. Gu Shan thought for a bit and understood. He was talking about the first old man to receive him when he arrived at the Justice Iron Fist Club. Gu Shan then explained, his service was very thorough. I don't think he made any mistakes. Hearing that, the old man laughed. Ah, you don't need to defend him. He should have asked about your basic situation, but he was fooled by the presence concealing scroll on your body, thinking that you were the descendant of some big shot. So he didn't invite you. Gu Shan was confused. That's right. For a newcomer like you who has just started to travel between world layers, as well as having done our association a favor, we would normally ask if you're willing to join the Spire Keeper Association. So that's why, Gu Shan said. He couldn't help but recall the situation at the time. If only he had joined the Spire Keeper Association. While he was thinking, the old man spoke up. If I'm not mistaken, since Bali sent you to answer the Bramble Bird summon, you've obviously become a member of his club. Yes, Gu Shan admitted. The old man spread his hands and said, in my opinion, it was a wrong decision for you to join his club. What's the point of his club's existence other than providing free fights? Gu Shan smiled, but didn't say anything. The old man showed a sincere expression and spoke seriously. How about you leave his club and join our Spire Keeper Association? Our union has knowledge as vast as the sea of infinite worlds, as well as research on the development of spells and professions, as well as precious historical records of the 900 million world layers, as well as top-secret information from outside the 900 million world layers. Outside the 900 million world layers? Gu Shan asked with interest. Of course, such a precious secret is only known to a few people at the highest level of the association. The old man's tone changed, but you can join us and slowly increase your membership rank according to your contributions, slowly gaining more benefits. You've already done the association a favor, so you'll be able to enjoy quite a few nice benefits as soon as you join us. Gu Shan scowled. To join the Spire Keeper Association, I have to leave the club first. That's right. According to the rules, a person can only form a connection with a single super-dimensional world, so you'll have to cancel your connection with the Justice Iron Fist Club's beacon in order to connect to our Spire's beacon, the old man explained. Gu Shan smiled and nodded. Thank you for your kindness, but I don't intend to change my beacon. The old man was a bit surprised and couldn't help but ask further. If you stay in the club, you'll have to shoulder a lot of debt for them. But if you join our Spire Keeper Association, you'll receive a lot of knowledge and benefits. Do you really understand the difference? I do, but you still want to choose the club? I'm sorry, why? They're probably hoping that I'll bring something back to repay their debt. Just because of that? The old man looked at him like he was looking at an idiot. I don't like to disappoint my friends, except when I'm playing cards, Gu Shan replied. If that's the case, I can only say that it's regretful, the old man sighed and said. I'm also regretful, but I really hope to maintain a good relationship with you, Gu Shan said. The old man lifted his foot and stomped on the ground, crushing a passing insect to death. The old man smiled. Seems like Bali found himself a decent partner. His leg is almost healed. The Justice Iron Fist Club's luck really is looking up. Young man, although you've made a few stupid choices, I've found myself liking you a bit. Wait a bit. I need to get something. I'll be right back. Saying so, the old man nodded to Gu Shan and left. On the other side, the Justice Iron Fist Club. The brother and sister were huddled together, nervously looking at an insect on the table. The insect opened its mouth wide, speaking with a completely different tone. I don't like to disappoint my friends, except when I'm playing cards. If that's the case, I can only say that it's regretful. I'm also regretful, but I really hope to maintain a good relationship with you. As the insect spoke to this point, it suddenly exploded and died with a paw sound. I've been found out. That old man must have killed my eavesdropping insect, Meow begrudgingly said. Bali smiled. It's their product in the first place. Of course it's easy to be found out. Meow was angry for a bit, then smiled again. Gu Shan is a good guy. Bali nodded and clenched his fist. When he comes back, he'll be qualified to fight me and complete the club's initiation ceremony. Meow was a bit surprised. Initiation? That's right. Every person who joins the club must seal their cultivation and fight against Bali with bare fists. Bali will also seal his cultivation and accept the challenge. This is the club's custom. In the past, only official members were able to enjoy this privilege. Bali didn't know how many people he's beaten away. But this time, the one to receive the ceremony was Gu Shan. Gu Shan can cook. Gu Shan can repay his debt. Gu Shan has gone through the test. He's one of us. You want to beat him away? Meow hurriedly shouted. Please don't. I didn't say anything when you always beat people away before, but not this time. Bali was troubled. The ceremony must be carried out. This is our club's tradition. Meow didn't try to persuade him and calmly asked. Tradition? Do you want to eat raw space monsters every day? Or do you want to eat hot, fragrant food? Bro, this is a master chef who delivered himself to our doorstep. Please think carefully before you decide. Bali thought for a bit, then reluctantly said, Meow, listen to me. The ceremony is sacred and solemn. It must dash. He also has to pay the club's debt, Meow added. Bali's words got stuck in his throat. There's nothing else that can make my heart beat faster than this. Bali straightened his attitude and solemnly said, Meow. The ceremony is sacred and solemn. It must be carried out under the right circumstances. But our current circumstances are too poor. Let's keep it simple. Chapter 568. Not too long after, the old man came out of the cabin and returned to the deck. He was holding something sticky in his hand. Gu Shan carefully examined it and confirmed that it was a slug. Look, I'll give this slug to you, the old man said. Gu Shan looked at the wet slug and declined. Thank you for your kindness, but I don't think I need something like this, the old man shook his head. This is a good thing, much better than normal eavesdropping bugs. He cleared his throat and explained. Normal eavesdropping bugs are very easy to discover, and the angered person who's being eavesdropped would usually stomp the bug to death. And this slug, although it looks alive, it's actually just a small bionic mechanism. Only when someone stomps it to death will its eavesdropping function be activated. Gu Shan understood. If that's the case, this slug is indeed a good thing. No one would care about a bug that's been stomped to death. It can be used for intelligence gathering in many different environments. This is my little research, the old man pridefully said. I'll give it to you now. Thank you. Gu Shan thanked him and put the slug away. He thought for a bit and asked, I don't have anything to repay you with, but I wonder if I can treat you to a drink? The old man smiled. It would be my honor. A drink or something like that is always a good way to spend a long journey. He clapped his hands. A dining table and 2 chairs appeared on the deck of the ship. The two of them sat down at the dining table. Do you prefer something a bit stronger or a bit lighter, sir? Gu Shan asked. Alcohol that's too strong will affect my thinking, so I prefer something lighter. It would be best if you could have a bit of sweetness. You and a friend of mine have similar tastes. Gu Shan then took out a large ice bucket and searched inside. He gave her a bottle of chilled osmanthus flower brew and a bottle of white wine for himself. The two of them poured and raised their glasses. Cheers. Thank you for the drink. You're welcome. If you want to thank me, I should thank your slug instead. The two of them faced the boundless void fog outside the ship and started drinking. The osmanthus wine tasted light, with a hint of sweetness in the fragrance of flowers. The old man drank a few cups and gradually became happy. I didn't expect the flowers of this evergreen tree of the osmanthus family to be able to brew such a tasty wine, he praised. A bottle of osmanthus wine was soon half finished. If you want, I can give you the recipe. You can brew some for yourself in the future. Gu Shan said. Of course, the old man shouted. Gu Shan took out a blank jade slip, wrote the recipe of the osmanthus wine in it, and handed it to him. The old man happily received the jade scroll and took off his hat. You have given me a form of knowledge. This is the most precious thing in the world. I am extremely grateful. Not at all. It's just a little bit of fun in life. Gu Shan waved her hand. Then, let me treat you to dinner, the old man said. The old man snapped his fingers. 2 rows of wavering utensils flew out from the cabin of the ship and automatically arranged themselves on the table. The old man placed a candlestick on the table and lit the candle on it. Immediately, a respectful male voice came from the flame of the candle. "Hello, this is Ba Kali Interstellar Restaurant. How may I help you?" The old man cleared his throat and said, "I want a top-notch set meal for two." "Very well. A top-notch set meal for two. You truly are a tasteful gourmet." The male voice sounded very enthusiastic. Of course, the old man puffed out his chest and replied. After waiting for a few breaths worth of time, each plate was filled with steaming hot food. "Enjoy your meal. We look forward to your next visit to Ba Kali Interstellar Restaurant. Goodbye." As the male voice said so, the candles went out. As Gu Shan stared at the exquisite silver plates and utensils, she suddenly had a thought. "Seems like I've been eating a lot lately." "Please help yourself," the old man said. "Thank you. I won't be polite." The two of them began to eat. Gu Shan took a bite of each dish. After tasting them all, he couldn't help but have a few questions. "What is this? Is this even edible? You call this food? Wait a minute, that thing looks pretty good. Such a bitter taste. And it's called a top-notch set meal?" Gu Shan wiped his mouth with a napkin and politely said, "I'm done. Please enjoy your meal." While the old man was happily eating, he looked up at Gu Shan in surprise. He suddenly smiled in understanding. "Young man, there's no need to be embarrassed. A top-notch restaurant like this isn't something newcomers like you can eat as often as you want. You should eat a bit more at a top-notch restaurant." Gu Shan fell into thought. He tapped his inventory bag and took out a plate of food. "What is this?" the old man doubtfully asked. "Ah, this is a local snack from my hometown. Please give it a try and comment." "All right, I've tasted a lot of restaurants in the infinite worlds. I'm qualified to comment on a local snack." The old man gracefully took a bite. He suddenly lowered his head and said nothing. A few moments later, he took another bite. Another bite. Another bite. Another bite. Another bite. The old man held the plate of bright red dishes and ate them one by one without stopping. Gu Shan originally wanted to teach him how to peel them, but seeing how hungry he was, she gave up. A few moments later, "What do you think of this dish?" Gu Shan hesitantly asked. The old man didn't say anything, but kept wiping his tears with his napkin. "Are you okay?" Gu Shan carefully asked. The old man abruptly looked up and roared, "It's too delicious." Gu Shan was shocked. The old man waved his hand and threw all the dishes on the table into the space vortex outside the ship, just like throwing trash. He didn't even take the plate with him. "Compared to this dish, I've been eating donkey shit for the past few years," the old man sobbed. "What's the name of this dish?" "I have to remember it," the old man asked. "Spicy crayfish. The red one is the crayfish. Then what about the green one?" "Cucumber, the white one." "The big one is a chicken egg. The small one is a quail egg. These ingredients are soaked in the spicy broth. The taste is completely infused into it. What a perfect creation." "Wait a minute. I get it. These must be the special dishes of the royal family of your world, right?" Gu Shan. "That's right. When I made this dish for Meow and Bali last night, I put in a bit too many ingredients, so I didn't serve the remaining half of the spicy crayfish." Gu Shan originally wanted to keep it for herself and slowly eat it. Who would have thought that it would be completely wiped out here? At this point, Gu Shan finally understood the standard of food in the 900 million world layers. After eating and drinking, while picking his teeth, the old man spoke. "Thank you for your hospitality. You're welcome. Originally, I was the one who treated you, but instead I got to eat your food and drink your fine liquor. You've already given me a very good gift. Take it as a token of my gratitude." The old man thought for a bit, then revealed. This time's call of the Bramblebirds is probably the one with the largest number of participants in history. Gu Shan appeared to be seriously listening. This was the other party returning the favor. As a member of the Spirekeeper Association, it was normal for them to know some secret information. The old man continued. "The Bramblebirds are a mystical species. They themselves are powerful, and the one that flew into the superdimensional zone to call this time was a famous Bramblebird. Famous? Yes, the Light of Dawn Triest, the protector of the Bramblebird royal family, a synonym for kindness and generosity. Her reputation is well known in many worlds. That's why a lot of people are going." Gu Shan asked. The old man shrugged. "As long as you're a young prodigy under 30 years old, you can answer the Light of Dawn Tree's call and work for her. This time, she announced ahead of time that everyone who goes to her will receive a greeting gift from the Mystic Zones. As long as you go, you can receive a gift? Correct. That's so generous, Gu Qingshan sighed. That's right. Everyone went crazy. Some who were over 30 years old even wanted to use a secret technique to turn themselves back to before they were 30. But that's very difficult, and Trieste is very observant. Is no one worried that the thing she wants to do will be very difficult? Gu Qingshan asked. My God. With a few 100 million prodigies gathered here, they only need to deal with any difficulties. That's right, they can just lie down and win. That's right, the Bramblebird also provided a lot of things that can be traded with people. Furthermore, after the mission is completed, she will even generously give out the most precious treasures. Now, I understand why some people want to turn back to before they were 30, Gu Qingshan muttered. If that's the case, then there's nothing to worry about. Gu Qingshan calmed down. A miraculous trip with treasures at the end. The Bramblebird also provided a lot of things to trade with people. I can use this chance to trade for a few more things. How is it? Are you satisfied with this information? Truthfully, you only need to enjoy a miraculous trip, and you'll be able to reap the rewards, the old man said. As for the most precious treasures, they naturally belong to those who complete the mission the most beautifully. But at the end, I'm sure the generous Trieste will prepare a gift for everyone. Thank you for your information. Gu Qingshan thanked him. He suddenly thought of something. All right, one last question. Go ahead. I have a God-chosen friend who received a prophecy-type card of fate, but I don't know how much it's worth. Prophecy? Card of fate. The old man appeared interested and hurriedly asked, a prophecy-type card of fate? Which world did that friend of yours get it from? A scattered world, the old man laughed out loud. He couldn't have gotten such a card. He must have been tricked by someone. Why do you say that? Gu Qingshan asked. In a scattered world, obtaining such a card is nothing but a fool's dream, the old man explained further. Even among all the cards, the prophecy card is extremely rare. Not to mention the prophecy card of fate, it's inextricably linked to the fate of a world. It's a royal treasure of a few gods' chosen worlds in the strife zones, as well as a world-stabilizing treasure that wouldn't easily leak out. If such a card really did leak out, the most powerful gods' chosen empire would do everything in their power to get it back. It's that rare? Extremely rare. There are a lot of cards in the deck of fate, but I dare say that there aren't even a few of them in the entire 900 million world layers. If that's the case, my friend must have been tricked. I'm going to make fun of him when I return. Gu Qingshan nodded. Chapter 569. After dinner, Gu Qingshan had obtained a lot of useful information. Satisfied, she returned to her room. He sat in the center of the orchid hall and stared blankly for a while before bursting into laughter. He didn't expect that he would have a moment of relaxation. He only needed to go sightseeing, and he would be able to obtain treasures. Both Meow and Bali value the items in the Mystic Zones. In response to the Bramblebird's call, a greeting gift. Entering the world of the Bramblebirds is rewarded with a participation prize. If he performed well, he would receive a ranking award. When he left, he received a commemorative award. In that case, these things should be enough to pay off the debt. In the worst case, he would just work harder and perform outstandingly to obtain some better treasures. Thinking of this, Gu Qingshan's previous hesitation gradually disappeared, and she only felt that she had calmed down a little. That was good. He took out a pill, put it in his mouth, then took out Xie Dao Ling's cultivation notes. Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Current soul points required to comprehend Xie Dao Ling's cultivation record. Sainted Realm late stage breakthrough method requires 1,400 soul points. Do you want to comprehend it? Yes. Pay 1,400 soul points. A huge flow of heat emerged from the jade slip and flowed into Gu Qingshan's limbs and bones through his arms, before finally returning to his sea of consciousness. This was Xie Dao Ling's final comprehension of Sainted Realm. She didn't even have time to write down her understanding of breaking through the wind and lightning tribulations in Shenwu world and breaking through to Projection Realm. Gu Qingshan can't help but fall into a reverie after she finishes comprehending. With Shifu's intelligence, she must have already broken through to the Projection Realm. In fact, after seeing Qi Yan's method of refining a world, she would also think of a way to fuse Shunwu world and the cultivation world together. Because the highest realm that Shunwu world could reach in the past was virtualized realm. With this fusion, the new world's cultivation limit would definitely surpass virtualized realm. At the very least, he would reach the cryptic spirit realm. Gu Qingshan sighed. He wondered how his master was doing. Xiao Lu, Xiao Xiao, Ning Yuechan, Lung Tian Xing, Gong Sunji. I hope everyone is doing well. Gu Qingshan closed her eyes, crossed her legs, and entered a meditative state. He began to attempt to break through. The bramble bird summoning didn't seem to be a problem. However, Gu Qingshan still decided to seize the time and work hard to become stronger. He would never relax his demands on himself, just because the outside world had become more relaxed. One day later, Gu Qingshan opened her eyes. Shanu appeared in front of him. Silently sensing Gu Qingshan's aura, Shanu's eyes showed a bit of anticipation. The stronger Gu Qingshan became, the stronger she would become. Being able to control the power of a cultivator was an unprecedented and wonderful experience for her. Congratulations, Gongzi. Your total spirit energy seems to have increased by 40% compared to before. Shanu smiled brightly. That's right, I'm now a sainted late-stage cultivator. Gu Qingshan waved his hand and grabbed the Chaoyin sword. After silently feeling it for a bit, he muttered, I feel like my swordsmanship can become even more powerful now. Of course, the more spirit energy you can use, the more powerful your attacks will be, Shanu replied. But I'm still too weak, Gu Qingshan sighed. He had already met a cryptic realm cultivator, so even though he broke through, he didn't feel any joy at all. Instead, he felt a sense of urgency to catch up. Shanu consoled him. Gongzi, a person can't just eat everything in one go. According to the common sense of cultivation that you've told me, your cultivation speed is already very fast. Gu Qingshan nodded, then shook his head. A knock came from a door. Shanu turned into the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword and hid in Gu Qingshan's thought sea. Gu Qingshan stood up and went to open the door. The old man stood at the door with a smile on his face. I'm here to tell you that there's only half a day left. You can take a look and see if you have anything that could be considered treasures. Give them to the bramble birds and exchange them for a few items from the mystic zones. Gu Qingshan was surprised. The old man already told him about this before, and now he specifically came to remind him, so it must be something important. Sure enough, the old man continued. To the bramble birds, our treasures aren't really that important. But if there's something that the bramble birds reluctantly accept, they'll exchange it with items from the mystic zones. Those items are all true treasures. Thank you, I understand, Gu Qingshan replied. The old man nodded to him and left. Gu Qingshan closed the door and sat down on the edge of the bed. Treasures? He fell into thought. What do I have that can be considered treasures? Bai Hua Sect's resources? Resources from a scattered world shouldn't be considered treasures. Armor? He took out the UG general armor. This armor has been through so many battles in Shunwu world that's already cracked a lot. The bramble birds probably don't like something that's about to break. The Earth Sword, Chao Yin Sword, Six Paths Great Mountain Sword. These are things that I've risked my life for, so I wouldn't be willing to exchange them for anything. What else? That's right, that card. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but chuckle. The old man from the Spire Keeper Association said that this is a treasure that definitely wouldn't appear in a scattered world. However, he did possess this treasure. With such a precious item, I should be able to exchange it for a few things. That way, part of the Justice Iron Fist Club's debt can be resolved. It'll be even better if I can resolve all of it. As Gu Qingshan thought about it, he took out the Predictor of Fate card. There was a huge eye drawn on the card. Endless white fog was quickly swirling inside the eye, forming a vortex. A line of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Predictor of Fate, rare card. When you're hesitating, you can observe this card to see a certain possibility in your fate. This is a rare and precious card. In many worlds, you can use it to exchange for treasures that you yearn for even in your dreams. Gu Qingshan stared at the card. Seems like it's finally time for this card to be put to good use. While he was looking at the card, the giant eye on the card was also looking at him. In just a single breath's worth of time, the giant eye disappeared. The predictor of fate was activated again. A skeleton with tattered clothes appeared on the card. The skeleton was anxiously moving around, apparently trying to sense something. Normally, skeletons represented death. This was common knowledge among cards. Seeing this, Gu Qingshan smiled. Back in the suspended world, this card had also appeared as a skeleton representing death. He didn't believe in such things, so he didn't think much of it. Gu Qingshan was about to put the card away again. At this time, the predictor of fate card changed again. The card screen changed. The skeleton opened its mouth wide, screaming in fear. Indeed, its voice went through the card and resounded throughout the entire room. The skeleton frantically ran around inside the card but couldn't leave. All of its struggles were futile. Gu Qingshan suddenly saw himself on the card. But at a glance, it didn't look like the real him. His eyes were gone, replaced by 2 black holes. Sharp teeth grew out his mouth, drooling nonstop. The self roared as he charged at the skeleton, knocking it to the ground. The skeleton tried to resist, but was pinned down by Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan opened his mouth wide and bit off the skeleton's head. Gotcha! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The skeleton's head was chewed to pieces and eaten. Gu Qingshan looked down and continued to eat the skeleton's body. The sound of chewing could be heard. As he ate, endless darkness shrouded the face of the card. The entire card became completely black. Strange. Why did I become like this? Gu Qingshan stared at the card and muttered. Ever since he received this card, he had never seen such a strange sight. Gu Qingshan shook the card a bit, then fanned himself. No matter what he did, the darkness on the card remained the same. Gongzi, this card is making me feel uneasy, Shanna muttered. This was the first time she had ever felt this way. Gu Qingshan also felt a vague, indescribable feeling in his heart. Unlike before, this time, Gu Qingshan truly felt that something wasn't right. Ever since he boarded the ship, his spirit sense had been constantly reminding him that something strange was happening. Spirit sense was a premonition unique to cultivators. His spirit sense was so powerful that he could even sense the scene before his death. Because of his spirit sense, Gu Qingshan was so uneasy that he had to break through twice to complete his cultivation breakthrough. What exactly is going on? Gu Qingshan stood up and paced back and forth in Orchid Hall. He was confident in his spirit sense. If he could analyze the situation with this card, he would be able to obtain even more accurate information. But he was a sword cultivator, not a card user. Although he had some superficial knowledge about cards, he couldn't understand the mystery behind the strange changes that had occurred to the cards. Chapter 570. Time quickly passed. The old man brought Gu Qingshan to the deck of the ship. We're almost there, the old man said. Gu Qingshan looked around expectantly. Around the big ship was a starry universe. This place was no longer part of the space vortex. They were about to arrive at a certain world. The bramblebirds are nearby. Gu Qingshan asked. The bramblebirds probably haven't arrived yet. Participants must arrive at an old god ruin ahead of time. Ruin? That's right. The old man looked at Gu Qingshan's expression and waved his hand dismissively. It's different from what you're thinking. For countless years, every grain of sand in this ruin has been studied. There's no danger here. Of course, there won't be any benefits waiting for you, either. Then the reason we're here is everyone who answered the call of the bramblebirds must gather here, the old man further explained. Everyone must wait here for the bramblebird arrival. That's why I'm not too late. Gu Qingshan sighed in relief. No, you're still too late. Those who arrive first will be taken into the Bramblebird's treasure world first. You can only enter after everyone else has entered. Gu Qingshan shrugged. It's fine if I'm a bit late, the old man smiled. It's rare for you to be so open-minded. While they were talking, a vast group of palaces appeared in front of the ship. This was a group of snow-white palaces, majestic and beautiful, almost as if they were carved out of ivory. But within this snow-white palace, there was a square that stretched as far as the eye could see. There were so many people on the square that it was impossible to count. So many participants. Gu Qingshan looked at the crowded square, and sighed emotionally. Of course, if it weren't for the old god's palace and square, there wouldn't be any other place that could accommodate so many young heroes from different worlds, the old man replied. So people can rest freely here? No, 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 the old man smiled. Only the square is free to rest. The other places are under the Abul Hotel's jurisdiction. These palaces are actually a large hotel. Gu Shan was surprised. Wait, why does this name sound so familiar? Gu Shan suddenly remembered. Abruzzi is the Rooster Resort. Does that mean Rooster is here too? An old god's palace. That sounds quite attractive. A famous financial group bought this super-dimensional world and turned it into a holiday hotel. Gu Shan's eyes lit up. This is a famous high-class hotel. Many of the world's experts and royal families have long booked rooms here. Why is it so popular? Because of time. It has been condensed with a type of time origin law. As long as you spend a bit of money, you can return to a certain era in the past. You can spend a leisurely time in that era for about half a month. A look of fascination appeared on the old man's face. When you return in half a month, you will find that only a day has passed. How wonderful, Gu Shan commented. The old man handed Gu Shan a golden number plate. Gu Shan took it and looked at it. 79. This was the number engraved on the metal plate. Gu Shan looked at the old man. The old man explained, when we went to pick you up, our association had already booked a room for you. With the current situation, it will probably be hard to find a place to rest when you arrive. Thank you. If it wasn't for the fact that I couldn't find another way, I wouldn't have bothered you so much, Gu Shan thanked him. It's all thanks to the Spire Keeper Association. Otherwise, things wouldn't have gone so smoothly. What are you talking about? The old man waved his hand dismissively. You saved great Scholar Moore's life. His wisdom is a precious asset to the entire association. Gu Shan went silent. She never thought that the person she helped so casually would have such an identity. At this point, the ship slowed down and quickly approached the palaces. The ship drifted towards one side of the palaces. It was clear just how grand this old god ruin was. The Spire Keeper Association ship was already as tall as a 20-story building, but compared to the palaces of the old gods, it was like a sesame seed in front of a giant elephant. The ship stopped. The old man solemnly bowed to Gu Shan. If it's only a small matter like the journey, you can tell us at any time. Farewell. Thank you for the Spire's help. Farewell. Gu Shan clasped his fist. He lightly leapt up and landed on a wide square. The old man stood at the bow of the ship, watching him until he landed on the square before giving the order to set sail. As Gu Shan landed in the middle of the bustling square, a few people around his age quickly gathered around him. Their auras were quite strong, but Gu Shan felt that he could deal with them. After all, they were all below 30 years old. Other than a few unique individuals, everyone's strength was about the same. Although Gu Shan came from a scattered world, how many people in a scattered world could miraculously reach Sainted Realm in their 20s like he did? Are you here to join the Bramble Birds? One of them stared at him and said, No, I'm here for a vacation. Gu Shan cut him off and waved the number tag in his hand. These people begrudgingly scattered. Every room in a Bull Hotel was marked with a guest's identity. They didn't dare to act rashly. This is a Bull Hotel. Attacking a guest of a bull here is the same as asking for death. Seeing the number tag in his hand, a few more people gathered around him. Friend, do you have a room for sale? We've been staying here for too long. We need a place to rest, if you're willing. No, I also need a rest. Gu Shan cut him off again. He concealed his aura and quickly blended into the crowd. The people who were paying attention to him quickly followed. But Gu Shan was too fast, and the crowd was too tight. It was impossible to keep up with him without alerting anyone. Gu Shan wasn't being careless either. He quickly weaved through the crowd, sometimes even using ground shrink. After running for a quarter of an hour, he had finally walked half a circle around the square and successfully lost the people who were following him. These people were constantly paying attention to the newcomers, so there must be some kind of shady business they wanted to do. Gu Shan didn't care about these things. Holding the golden number tag in hand, he followed the direction given by the number tag and left the square. Walking along the large stairs for about 10 minutes. After a few turns, he reached the main gate of the old god's palace. Most of the people in the square were young people who answered the call of the bramble-birds, all of them a bit restless. But this place was filled with people who came to a bowl for a vacation. Compared to the hustle and bustle of the square, this place was exceptionally quiet. There was an endless stream of people entering and exiting the hotel. All of them were well-mannered and polite. Gu Shan saw a wolf wearing a woolen sweater with a pipe in his mouth, making way for two veiled women. Gu Shan slowed down and entered the hotel. "Hello, how may I be of service?" a voice asked. At some unknown point, a strange entity had appeared in front of Gu Shan. It was made entirely out of gray air, but the air itself was covered by a form-fitting piece of clothing. An airman? Gu Shan doubtfully thought. But as soon as this entity appeared, Gu Shan felt a sense of comfort. The air around her became fresh and clean. The temperature was also maintained at 26 degrees Celsius. Abundant spirit energy was exuding from the airman's body, slowly filling every inch of Gu Shan's body. This gave her a strange feeling of being at home. "I have a room here," Gu Shan said. "Please show me your room number plate." Gu Shan took out the shiny golden number tag and gave it to him. "A gold number tag," the airman immediately said. "So it was an esteemed guest, number 79, HM. Let me check the records. Found it. The Spire Keeper Association's Starry Sky View Suite." His tone was extremely respectful. A gold number tag can enjoy many of a bull's exclusive services for free. The other party was also from the Spire Keeper Association. This was a big client of the hotel. The airman pressed the number tag into the void of space. Immediately, a golden door slowly opened from the void of space. The airman returned the number tag to Gu Shan and bowed. "Please, this is your room. Esteemed guest, this hotel has many entertainment facilities, no matter where you're spending your time. As long as you activate the number tag, you will be able to return to your room at any time." Saying so, the airman silently came closer and whispered, "Do you require any other services?" "What are you referring to?" "Information. I do too, crystal diamonds." Gu Shan hesitated. From the sound of it, diamonds are a common currency, but I don't have that kind of money, and I'm already in debt. "Take them," a pleasant female voice rang out. Two small round crystals flew over and landed in the airman's hand. The airman put the crystals away and quickly said, "The Bramble Bird royal family will be arriving later today. The grand banquet has already been prepared. An important member of the royal family will be making his debut at the banquet." Saying so, the airman disappeared. Gu Shan didn't have the time to think about this information, nor did he have the time to determine if it was real or not. His heart couldn't help but beat a bit faster. Then he turned around. A white-clothed sous-chef stood silently at the hotel entrance with a scepter in her hand. She stared at Gu Shan and muttered, "I've been waiting for you for a long time." Gu Shan slowly smiled. Chapter 571. Gu Shan looked at sous-chef who was wolfing down her food and helplessly told her, "Eat slowly." Sous-chef didn't listen at all and mumbled, "I can't help it. It's been so long since I've eaten your cooking." Gu Shan smiled. Back when she was still in school, sous-chef would often go to the night market to visit his stall. It was a time of peace and prosperity. But now that she thought about it, it was already so long ago that it felt like it was a lifetime ago. "Shui, which world did you go to?" Gu Shan asked caringly. "That's not important," sous-chef answered while eating. "Why not?" Sous-chef hesitated for a bit, then smiled and answered, "The place I'm at is an island with only a few normal people. I've been bored to death, so I've been looking for a new place to stay for a long time." Gu Shan was surprised. That can't be right. The scroll she gave him before, from Gu Shan's current perspective, he now understood just how precious and powerful it was. If she could give him such a scroll, then how could the world she's be a normal world? He looked at her. She smiled at him. "It's true, my teacher is very powerful, but he left me behind to go on a long journey through space. I don't want to stay in that boring place by myself. That's a different meaning to her words. Seems like it doesn't have anything to do with that world. She's only saying that because she wants to be with me? Gu Shan thought for a bit, then slowly answered, "The place I'm at is a super-dimensional world called the Justice Iron Fist Club." Justice Iron Fist? Wait a minute. Su Cher wiped her mouth and took out a newspaper from somewhere. The headline of the newspaper was, "Good news for the super-dimensional world. Affected by Bali's recovery from his leg injury, 7,934 listed company stocks rose sharply." An investor said, "Thank God, he finally has the ability to return the money." There was even a picture attached to the newspaper. The old man from the Spire Keeper Association hugged Bali's leg with an expression of disbelief. Meanwhile, Bali clenched his fist with a look of disgust. This picture was really a perfect match. Su Cher pointed at the picture and said, "Look, you're up there too. That's where I started to find your news." Gu Shan took a closer look. Indeed, he was standing next to Bali at that time, and his sluggish expression was captured by the camera. "Just based on this photo? Of course, I've done a lot of homework. In order to find you, I've spent a lot of money on information." As Su Cher spoke, she suddenly blushed. These words were too obvious. She felt a little awkward. Gu Shan was even more certain of her previous judgment. As expected, Snow had discovered my whereabouts and came to find me. That was why she had purposely said those things. With that in mind, Gu Shan relaxed again. He put his hand on her head. "Since you're so bored staying in your own world, after this is over, come with me," he said. Su Cher's eyes sparkled as she looked at him. I'll listen to you," she responded softly. Seeing her like that, Gu Shan slowly smiled. All of a sudden, a melodious tune resounded. The two of them turned to the same direction at the same time. A colorful light descended from the sky and landed in the middle of the starry room, condensing into a thin card. Su Cher took it and flipped it open. "It's an invitation. Do you know a lot of people?" she asked curiously. "No, this is my first time visiting this kind of hotel," Gu Shan replied. The two of them read through the invitation. This was an invitation that the hotel had sent to all its guests. The Bramble Bird royal family was about to arrive in a bull. They had invited all gold-ranked guests to join the grand banquet at night. As for the reason, the Bramblebird princess was about to hold her coming-of-age ceremony, entering the ranks of the noble ladies of the infinite worlds for the first time. The Bramblebird princess, Su Cher, was surprised. "This is a huge piece of news. If we could get to know her, we won't even need to answer the call of the light of dawn. We'll be able to obtain a lot of precious treasures. Is that so? How about we go take a look?" Gu Shan asked. "Of course, it depends on whether or not you're willing to take me as your companion," Su Cher replied. "It will be my honor," Gu Shan replied. "Haha." Su Cher didn't say anything and only smiled. She seemed to be very happy. Gu Shan suddenly recalled something. "You're a god chosen?" he asked. "That's right. I coincidentally obtained a card, but I've never been able to understand what it means. Can you help me take a look?" "Of course," Su Cher pridefully replied. "I'm the most knowledgeable person in my group." Gu Shan didn't change her expression at all. But this once again proved that Su Cher was lying. This group of people, these words alone were enough to prove that the world she came from wasn't as simple as it seemed. However, since Gu Shan understood her intentions, he no longer paid attention to that world. Gu Shan tapped his inventory bag and took out the Predictor of Fate card. As soon as he took it out, Su Cher opened her eyes wide and held her breath. The King of Fate. This card was one of the cards from the King of Fate deck. The Lord of Blood once told her about this deck. Within the entire 900 million world layers, there was only a single set of these cards, each of which was unique and unique. Only the most powerful god's chosen empire had the right to obtain this deck. And this Language of Fate card was sentient. It had its own will. Once it abandoned someone, that person would die, and it would search for a new master. Su Cher received the card without batting an eyelid. "This is a Predictor of Fate card," she casually said. She carefully observed the image on the card. The giant, shrouded in white fog, stared at her, then slowly began to change. "When I was up there, I saw myself turning into a monster and chewing on a skeleton. What's the meaning of that? Gu Qingshan asked in confusion. Su Share's heart sank. She stared at the image on the card and didn't answer. Gu Qingshan followed her gaze to the card. There was nothing on the surface of the token. Su Shui stared at the card, speechless. Why is there nothing but emptiness on this card? What does that mean? Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. Su Share still didn't answer. She looked at the card, then at Gu Qingshan. Come, give me your hand, she said. She took Gu Qingshan's hand. The two of them held the card together. Su Share looked at the card and loudly chanted, Fate. Only when it withers will it bloom. Her tone was strange and filled with an indescribable sense of threat, causing those who heard it to feel a sense of awe and respect. This wasn't the language of her original world, but rather an incantation. Thanks to the Spire's Infinite Worlds Common Language Dictionary, Gu Qingshan was able to recognize the origin and meaning of this incantation. This was the language of fog from Fog Isle. But what kind of place is Fog Isle? Gu Qingshan silently memorized the name of this world. Why does this incantation sound a bit strange? While Gu Qingshan was thinking about it, as Su Share chanted the incantation, the image on the card changed. From a void, Gu Qingshan appeared. He lightly leapt up and flew into the infinite stars. With his sword in hand, he casually slashed. The entire universe was cut in half by his strike. Countless stars rained down like rain. Wow, Su Share gasped in shock. Gu Qingshan was also stunned by his own majestic appearance on the card. How strange. I was still chewing on skeletons just now. Why did I suddenly become so powerful? He asked. Because I'm with you. Su Share stared at the card in a daze and held Gu Qingshan's hand tightly. Then, as Gu Qingshan was about to ask further, Su Share cut her off. Did you know, Qingshan, this hotel is a bit special, she said. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask. What are you referring to? This hotel can allow us to return to a certain world, a certain era, and spend half a month in peace. I've heard of this before. It's truly miraculous. Are you willing to come with me to take a look? But aren't we going to participate in the Bramble Bird Royal Family's banquet? What's the point of that? Just come with me to the past. Just treat it as a moment of relaxation before the battle. Su Share appeared to be begging him. Gu Qingshan sighed helplessly. Women really are fickle creatures. One second they're thinking this, the next second they're thinking that. All right, he agreed. He really couldn't refuse Su Share's request. Yay! Su Share raised both hands up like a child, as if she'd just won some sort of grand victory. She casually put the Predictor of Fate card away, then took out another card and gave it to Gu Qingshan. I'll take a look at your card. I'll leave this card with you, just in case you think I took your Predictor of Fate card for myself. No need. I won't think of you that way. If you really won't think of me that way, then take this card. Just treat it as you're temporarily keeping it safe for me. Su Share insisted. All right, then. Gu Qingshan had no choice but to accept the card and casually glanced at it. On the card was a monster that was as tall as a mountain. It had vertical pupils and a pair of gray wings. Behind a monster was an uncountable sea of monsters. They were neatly lined up in a square formation, wielding weapons in their hands while exuding a sense of killing intent. From the looks of it, this was a gigantic army. A strange connection was formed between him and the card. Following this connection, a few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You've obtained the War card, Bloodsea God Army. You've obtained the rights to this card. Due to certain reasons, the Bloodsea God Army had voluntarily formed a covenant with you, obeying your orders and summons. Gu Qingshan appeared surprised. Didn't you say I'll only be keeping this card safe for a while? Why did I become the card's owner instead? He looked at Su Share and was about to speak. Chapter 572. Gu Qingshan wanted to return the Bloodsea God Army back to Su Share. But Su Share wouldn't listen to anything and insisted on keeping the card in his pocket. With no other choice, Gu Qingshan could only hold onto the Bloodsea God Army card for now. At this point, a faint sound and the light of dawn appeared in the room, drifting around Su Share's body. Su Share appeared to be listening attentively. These supernatural phenomena quickly disappeared. What was that just now? Gu Shan asked. The call of the bramblebirds. The great light of dawn sensed my will, and because I was the first to arrive, it decided to let me enter its world in 1 hour, Su She replied. I don't think I've sensed it yet, Gu Shan commented. Of course, you've only just arrived. You'll have to queue for a long time, 1 hour, Gu Shan muttered. She didn't think Su She would have to leave so soon. Su She replied, It's fine, I'll go in first and wait for you. Gu Shan thought about it. That's true, I'll have to go in sooner or later anyway. He smiled. Seems like you made the right decision. If we go to the banquet, you'll probably have to leave before it's even over. That's right. That's why we'll have to go to the Reelable from the hotel. The flow of time inside is very slow. I'll be able to stay a bit longer, Su She replied. Then let's go now, Gu Shan decided. Su She put her hand out. Give me your room number. What about yours? Gu Shan couldn't help but ask. I snuck out on my own. I don't have the money to stay in such a high-class room. Not to mention, only a room of your level can go to a bowl for free. Gu Shan then took out the room number and put it in Su She's hand. Su She calmed down and activated her badge. Suddenly, a voice came from the number plate. Esteemed guest, how may I be of service to you? We're going to a bowl. How long do you plan to stay? Su She thought for a moment and said, half a month. According to your room level, the time has been confirmed. Please wait a moment. Before his voice died away, the golden token flew into the air and released runes one after another. The runes combined and turned into an open door. The two of them looked into the rune gate and saw a stretch of mountains on the other side. The top of the mountain was covered in white snow, but there was a small town with beautiful scenery at the foot of the mountain, exuding a sense of leisure and tranquility. There was a clear lake next to the town, and there were people boating on it. On the other side of the lake was a broad road that ended in a great city. Gu Shan and Su She retracted their gazes. 2 horses galloped over from the grassland and stopped at the entrance of the rune gate. Their bodies were muscular, their forelegs slightly raised in the air as they approached. The elemental aura of wind and water appeared on their bodies. Even with the door between them, Gu Shan could still sense the power they exuded. The horses looked at Gu Shan and Su She and let out a long neigh. Look, they're urging us, Su She smiled. Gu Shan muses, I heard that no one can get hurt inside this place. That's right. Do you really think a holiday spot like a bowl would be dangerous? Su She was surprised. I've never ridden a horse before. Gu Shan stared at the horses and spoke with uncertainty. Su She laughed. She pulled Gu Shan into the room gate. She taught Gu Shan the basics of riding a horse step by step. The simplest part is that you need to follow the horse's rhythm and adjust your posture. If the horse moves fast, you follow suit. Even if it slows down, you still need to adjust your own rhythm. This way, at least your internal organs won't be shaken up. Is that enough? Gu Shan held the reins and asked. Just a bit more. Su She slapped the horse's butt and shouted, Hiya! The steed immediately sped away like an arrow from a bow. You little girl! Dash! Gu Shan's voice came from afar. In the blink of an eye, he was already far away. Su She stood still until she couldn't see Gu Shan anymore before wiping her reddened eyes. She leapt onto the horse and chased after Gu Shan. Infinity World's town. This was a bull's most famous holiday spot. In this town, time moved extremely slowly. More interestingly, this was a miniature world created by the old gods through the combined wisdom and divine might of their old gods. It had 2 very unique laws. Firstly, if people stayed here for half a month, only a single day would have passed on the outside. Secondly, the laws here would protect everyone from getting hurt. Perhaps the old gods originally wanted to use this miniature world for something. But obviously, they didn't have the time to do so and hurriedly disappeared. But because of these 2 laws, the town's holiday makers were able to relax. Gu Shan and Su She stood at the center of Infinity World's town, enjoying themselves so much that they forgot to go home. There was a unique group of fireflies here. Each firefly represented an unstoppable skill. Once you caught one, you would enter an illusion and see yourself unleashing this powerful skill against your enemies. Of course, you could only see the power of the skill, not its secrets. These are the most famous skills of the strongest combatants throughout the history of the 900 million world layers that were collected by Infinity World's town. With the Firefly in hand, everyone could see themselves unleashing their most famous skills and beating up their enemies. This was an unprecedented experience. Qing Shan, guess what I saw? Su Cher cheerfully asked. What? I turned an enemy into an egg. That's a very impressive skill. What happened after that? After that, I threw it into boiling water, peeled it, and ate it. What a unique skill, but you definitely don't know what kind of skill I saw. Let me see. Su Cher received the firefly from Gu Qingshan and closed her eyes. A few moments later, she looked at Gu Qingshan with a pained expression. You shouldn't have shown me this. Why not? Gu Qingshan was surprised. This skill only causes people to become fat uncontrollably, until their stomach becomes so fat that they can't even touch the ground anymore. Idiot. After a long while, they finally stopped trying and reluctantly left this place. Every single shop in the village had all sorts of wondrous and unimaginable things for sale. There were no employees, no bosses. Everything naturally followed the wishes of the customers. Gu Qingshan accompanied Su Cher as she went from shop to shop. Inside the weapon shop, each weapon had its own mini-world. Gu Qingshan went to take a look inside the sword world and was still shocked when she returned. It was a world made entirely of swords. If it weren't for the fact that he didn't have any money, he would have bought the entire world. On the other hand, Su Cher wasn't very interested in weapons. She dragged Gu Qingshan to the Infinity World's virtuous dress shop. After that, Gu Qingshan said nice a total of 94 times, okay, a total of 31 times, and I suggest you try something else a total of 5 times. The two of them stayed in this shop for the entire afternoon. While they were waiting for Su Cher to try on the clothes, something happened. Buttercup's pink bikini silently came out of her inventory bag, startling Gu Qingshan. How did you get out by yourself? He couldn't help but ask. Fortunately, Su Cher went to try on the clothes at this time. Otherwise, if she saw Gu Qingshan wearing such a bikini, who knows what she would think? The pink bikini complained. You said you would find me a female owner with a perfect body, but I've been waiting for so long without any news. Did you forget about that? Gu Qingshan slapped his head and answered with a serious expression. How could I forget? I've always remembered that. He really did forget. Hearing that, the pink bikini was satisfied. It's good that you remember. Then I'll wait for your good news. It flew back into Gu Qingshan's inventory bag. Wait a minute. Gu Qingshan took it out again and asked, How did you get out of my inventory bag? I can take you through countless world layers. Such a small matter is nothing to me, the pink bikini replied. Don't come out on your own for the next few days. I'll take care of your matters, Gu Qingshan seriously told it. All right. Then I'll wait for your good news, the pink bikini replied. Gu Qingshan quickly put it back into his inventory bag. Su Cher excitedly ran over. What do you think of this? She was wearing a long dress and twirled around in front of Gu Qingshan. Great. It's so beautiful. Gu Qingshan gave her a thumbs up. But there's another dress that's not bad either. I'll have to try it on. Saying so, Su Cher left. Gu Qingshan wiped the sweat off his forehead. That was close. I almost let Su Cher see the pink bikini I'm wearing. She'll definitely think I'm a pervert. After a while, Su Cher finally finished trying on the dress. It was already dark outside. Are you hungry? I'm fine, but I'm starving. The two of them went to eat together. There was only a single restaurant in this town. It was said that no matter how many people there were, it wouldn't be crowded. At its peak, it once served 400 million customers at once. The two of them sat down in the empty restaurant. Strange, this is supposed to be a vacation spot, but there's no one here. Gu Qingshan looked around. There wasn't a single person in the entire town. Only he and Su Cher were aimlessly walking around the town. The shops and restaurants are the same. They're probably all attending the Bramble Bird Princess public appearance banquet, Su Cher commented. Bramble birds? Gu Qingshan muttered. A type of wondrous creature. They believe that there are 12 types of spirits in this world, so they're considered adults at 12 years old. Su Cher didn't even need to think to recite the knowledge from her memories. In other words, The princess is only 12 years old? Correct. TSH, so many people going to see a 12-year-old girl, but they're not enjoying their vacation. At least there's still us. The two of them smiled at each other. The night breeze blew past. The air was refreshing. They sat in the restaurant, enjoying the wind blowing in through the window while ordering a few dishes from the menu. Guqin Shan first ordered a glass of transparent amber liquor. Then, under Su Share's suggestion, he ordered fish, bread, and cheese. Within the infinite worlds, these were the three safest types of food. The fish was caught from a nearby lake, as well as the signature dish of this place. Guqin Shan's taste has always been a bit heavy, but I really have to say this fish was truly delicious. He wasn't used to eating bread and cheese, so he only ate a few mouthfuls before putting it down. Seeing that, Su Share didn't mind at all and continued to eat. She ordered the most expensive fruit and vegetable salad in the entire restaurant. Guqin Shan also tasted it and found it to be quite delicious. But these dishes were all too bland. Guqin Shan couldn't help but think of the spicy hot pot type of food. Fortunately, the amber-colored wine tasted good. It was cool and pure. After Guqin Shan finished it, she ordered another glass. Seeing him like that, Su Share picked up the menu and ordered a bowl of noodles for Guqin Shan. The noodles were a bit salty and a bit spicy, just right for Guqin Shan. Guqin Shan couldn't help but eat as well. Seeing that, Su Share also couldn't help but take a bite. Then the bowl of noodles was divided between the two of them. They sat there eating and drinking without any thoughts in their minds. Occasionally, they would look at the elegant chandelier and artistic decorations in the restaurant, then turn around to look at the scenery of the lake outside. This was an unprecedentedly comfortable day. All of a sudden, a rooster's voice came. What did I just say? There really is someone here who didn't go to the banquet. Guqin Shan and Su Share followed the voice, only to see a large rooster and a floating piece of wood walking into the restaurant. Guqin Shan and the rooster's eyes met. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.